Yo, what's up, man?
What's happening? Blueprint sessions.
What's good?
And then?
Really? You're gonna be awkward?
Did you usually do
Because
that?
we got females in the building. We got females in the building.
Wow, bro.
Now all of a sudden still
you
can't
usually
talk.
do the
Come
intro.
on, man. You're married, man. Come on.
You're married.
But you usually do the intro.
He has to do the introduction.
You usually do the intro.
I did the intro and you followed. I asked what's good. You're supposed to respond. Like
Can
we
I do the
normally
intro then if this is an argument?
Please
Yes,
do.
Please take
married?
over.
Are you married?
First of all,
I'm not
I
married.
didn't give you consent. Why are you talking?
No, but
Because you
which is
guys
why
Calm
I'm
down.
confused. You
asking.
guys
Calm
are confused
down.
about
Which is
who's
why I'm
starting,
asking.
so we might as well take the platform.
Yes.
See,
And
this
in
is what
terms
we're
of-
talking about.
In terms of the consent that you're talking about, I asked if I can give the intro. So I'm
Yeah.
waiting for you to say yes or no.
Hi guys,
Car.
5 seconds
First
in
of all,
and
First of
Period.
all,
5 seconds
And
in.
already
consent.
it's getting
Man
heated.
can say no to, okay?
If you say
I'm
no,
saying
then
no.
it's fine. If you say no, then it's fine.
Guys,
You can start
guys,
the
It's
kids,
not even a
thing.
fight.
Kids,
Okay.
intro please.
All I'm saying, we need to keep the same energy. Okay?
Yeah.
We're
We
definitely
need to be
keeping the same
consistent with
energy.
this consent thing.
Definitely, I agree
Okay.
with that. 100%.
If you're consistent with the same energy where you're confused, then it's fine. Be confused without us and then carry on with the whole intro.
Because that's what the problem
I
is.
haven't
Yeah.
even given an introduction
Guys, my
already.
makeup is
Gloves are
melting.
taken
I
off.
cannot-
Okay.
My makeup is melting.
Please
Introduce
carry
us
on,
and then we'll
please.
carry on.
All right, awesome stuff. So today on the Blueprint sessions, what episode are we on, bruh?
Episode 19, man.
Okay, yeah, episode 19. We've got 3 amazing guests with us.
Oh yes.
Yes, we've
Oh,
got,
this is the first time I
yes.
ever heard amazing. Okay.
yeah,
Thank you, Steel.
Because, you know what I mean? Anyway,
Thank you.
so
Trying
we've
to win
got
favor
Ona.
already.
We've got Ona with us. That's O-N-A,
Yes.
not H-O-N-O-U-R. Okay. And then,
OR.
what?
Where's the
This
spell
is South
honor?
Africa. This is South Africa.
Orandy
So,
does not
O-U-R.
recognize
O-U-R,
anything South
bruh.
African.
Doesn't matter. There's
Nope.
two.
This is
South
this is
Africa.
Mzansi, Baba.
So-
Thank you, Steel.
We're not in America, yeah.
Oh!
We're
Okay.
not following after. Okay, whatever. But and then we've got MJ,
Oh yes.
and then we've also got Liso.
Hi, guys.
So how you guys doing?
We good. Thank you.
Awesome.
How are you guys?
We're pretty.
Doing fabulous. Doing
So
good.
all in all, it's L-Zee versus 4 ladies.
Wow.
Whoa!
You just had to. Hey, you just had to.
Irate.
Everybody's
Wow,
wearing tight
L-Zee.
pants in the book.
Wow.
I don't even have
I
time.
got some shade.
I don't even have time for those childish games.
Okay,
Anyway,
guys.
Please, man.
How you girls
Move
doing,
on
man?
from
How you
that.
girls
You
doing?
bigger than
you know
that.
what? I'm
You are
bigger
bigger
than
than
that.
that.
Way bigger.
This
than
is a rhetorical question, but I'm gonna ask you guys how you guys do.
I think we're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking
Okay.
forward to this.
Yeah, we've been
Are you
excited.
sure you guys are
actually.
awesome?
We've been
Yeah,
excited.
we are
for
looking
this.
Hey,
forward to
man,
this.
because y'all been venting lately. What's going on, man?
It's not
No,
even a matter of
Talk to
venting.
me.
I think there's been a
Okay.
lot of things that triggered a lot of things from us where we've been like, okay, we need to voice our opinions. Where Nyanke, we've voiced our opinions
Yeah.
about the issues that been happening around us.
Okay. Just before we go any further, let's
Yes.
just clarify to anyone who might be listening to this that today's topic is literally.
Rape culture.
Yes,
Consent.
we're talking about rape culture.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about what that is. We're talking about how we can probably solve it.
Yeah.
We're talking about anything in regards to
Solve
that.
it. We need to murder.
No, that's such a reach, bro.
We eliminate
That is a
them.
reach.
You see,
That is a reach.
we need to
That
eliminate.
is a reach.
But
I
that's
like
solving it though.
But-
Like,
Educate us on
Can
the
I
matter.
actually say
Yes.
something? I like that Ustil came with the whole idea that we can solve it.
Yeah.
It is about, okay, he can see, okay, there's a problem and we can solve it. That's what I like about him.
I don't know about
He's
the
thinking
solve, but-
future.
Because
not
problem
tomorrow.
equates
That's
to
what I like
solution.
about it.
futuristic
Thank
thoughts right
you.
here.
That's
Yes.
what I like about
You know what I mean?
what he said.
So we're gonna be speaking about everything in regards to that. We're
yeah.
gonna be speaking. It might be an uncomfortable subject or topic for
Yeah.
some. I know society
Definitely
doesn't
not.
really want to speak about this as much. So
Yeah.
we want to just try, basically, kind of conversate around it and conversate about it until it's no more.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome stuff. That's that. I just
which
wanted to
is-
clarify.
It's a long way to go, guys.
Yeah.
I'm
It
guessing
is.
wifey got you trained about this whole subject, man. You all
Sorry?
PC with the whole subject. I see
I
you,
don't
bro.
think it's got to do about wifey or whatever. I think it's got
Eh,
about
what?
to do with you seeing the whole subject and what you take from it.
Yes.
And people still can say, okay, it's a problem, and whatever he's taking from it, then it's perfect. It doesn't have to be about you getting a wife or whatever.
Yeah.
100%.
Come on,
and,
guys,
and
calm
just,
down.
And just
We
being
are very
human.
calm. That's the problem. We are very
Energy is like
calm.
right here. I'm still down here. You're like up here already.
We are very
L-Zee.
calm. We are very
0 to
calm.
100,
We
real
are
quick,
very,
man.
very calm.
Wait,
That's
Randy,
the
can I just
problem.
get this
We're
out of
very
the
calm.
way?
Yes.
Very, very calm.
You see what you're saying now about calming down.
Mm.
I think in most cases it's a matter of it's one way of shutting people down
Mm.
because you're saying the energy is up there, but the energy is really not anywhere. She
Yeah.
was just saying something to counter what she was saying or to answer what she was saying. But when you took it as an energy level being up there, of which I call energy level, there's no energy level, right? So there's no calming down that needs to be happening. Everyone is calm.
100%. I agree with that.
We're all just chilled and having
Yes.
a conversation.
Exactly.
So there's no need for
Amen.
We
anyone
could
to
even
calm
have this
down. We're good.
conversation at the
100%.
beach. That's how calm I am
Yeah.
about this whole thing.
Yes.
Okay, then let's have this conversation.
Please,
All right,
let
wait.
us have.
Educate us.
Can I start with something? Right?
Okay.
Oh,
Can-
God.
Can I,
Please.
Here we
do.
go.
can I start with
Yes.
something? So I was doing some research in regards to what rape culture is,
Okay, yeah.
right? And I came across this clip of this lady, and she's talking about how she was walking home the other day, and this guy started following her, right? And he asked her where she was going.
Yeah.
So she replied, "I'm going home." And then he asked her if he could come with her, and she said, "No, I'm okay, thanks." And then he asked her, "Can I get your number?" And she said, "Sorry, no, thank you." Then he asked her, "Do you live alone?" And she replied and said, "No, I live with my boyfriend," hoping that he would get the clue. Then the dude said, "So, can I get your number?"
Wow.
So, I think this is what they'd probably call, I don't know, catcalling or something like
Yeah.
that, or is
Yeah.
it deeper than that? This to me seems
Okay.
a little bit deeper than that. It almost
Can I
seems
just jump
stalkerish.
in? Can I just jump in from what
Yeah.
you said? I think this whole thing there, it starts with us demantling this whole thing. What does it actually mean when we say men are trash? Because I think this ties in to what you're saying right now.
Yes, it
We
does.
first need to discuss, okay, what does this whole thing mean by men are trash? Because I'm sure some people might wonder, okay, what does this whole thing mean? And some people think it, okay, this only bases to a whole relationship or romantic level.
Yes.
But I think it's deeper than that. And once we discuss this whole men are trash thing, it will tie on to what you're saying right now.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
With regards to your question about whether or not that's catcalling, it's not necessarily catcalling, but it's borderline catcalling. Catcalling is when I walk down the street
Yeah.
and men whistle on some, I can't whistle, and then and then hey sexy type of thing.
Yeah.
That's catcalling, right? That is harassment because I've told you that I don't want to go home with you. I've got a boyfriend. I do not want to give you my number, but you're still continuing, right? Me saying I don't want to go home with you and I do not want to give you my number should be a sign for you, but okay, brother,
Step back.
leave me alone.
Yeah.
I'm good,
Yeah.
right? But when are you not doing that? So that is harassment.
Okay. I've got a question in
Yes.
regards to that. How would you guys expect men in particular to
Yeah.
approach women nowadays? Like
Okay.
when it comes to, because we all know
Yeah.
okay, wait, hold up. Randy is
Hand
laughing,
is up,
but
mister.
Randy is laughing. But I'm asking the question. Literally, what I'm asking is,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, as a guy, you know what I mean, you grow up and obviously you want to have a wife in your life or
course,
whatever, you know what I mean?
yes.
And what would be, according to your guys' opinion, the best way
Okay.
to approach a woman if you're seeing a
Potential, yes. Potential, yes.
a potential wife?
Yeah.
What would be, what should the guy's approach be?
For me, Stella, don't
Yes.
come at me. Me, if I want you, I'll come to you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll approach you.
Yes.
So
Yo.
for me, I feel like don't come to me. Like don't. If I want to come to Stella, I will let you know explicitly that come through, or I'll come to you. So don't come to me.
Okay. And to add on to what MJ has said, I feel like if you come to me and you tell me, okay, this is what I want, whatnot, And if I tell you, okay, no, I'm not interested, then move on. And
Yes.
if when you come to me and you try to catcall me and you can see, okay, I'm not interested, it means I'm not interested. Do not try to persuade me otherwise. I'm not confused. When I act as if I'm not interested, it means I'm not interested. So don't try to act as if you're
not hard to
confused.
get.
You don't know about, okay, what
You're
is
not in
going on.
primary.
You can see, okay, this girl, she's not interested. Let me just walk on. Let me move on. Yeah, it's as simple as that, basically.
Hard to
To
get.
go off of what she said.
Yes.
I think a lot of times there's this whole argument about playing hard to get, right? I think a whole lot of times
At our
people
big age.
mistake me saying no as
Yeah.
me playing hard to get. Whereas it's not even necessarily that I'm playing hard to get, it's just that I'm not interested. And if I am interested, I'm actually gonna show interest and have a conversation with you
Yeah.
where it leads to you perhaps asking for my number, and I'm gonna give it to you. Why? Because I'm interested. But
Okay.
if I'm not interested in Dizoti, no.
Let me actually, can I actually go back to what I said about men?
Guys, you need to give the CEO a chance.
I think the whole problem is that men have this idea, okay, they can hit on anyone that they
Yeah.
can see. And if they see, okay, this person's not interested, they try harder to get to that person, even though they can see that that person's not interested. And I think that's where the whole thing almost stems about, okay, men are trash, because you're not listening to what I'm trying to say. You think when you've got more authority over me to come try hit on me, but you can see, okay, I'm not interested. But when not being the male that you are, you think, okay, you've got authority over me to come and override that thing, even if you can see, okay, I'm not interested in what you're saying.
Because it's all about power.
Yes, basically.
Okay, so I've got to. Man, this is. Especially, okay, MJ, ne? Now, Randy calls me being. Like Randy says, I'm usually politically correct.
Yes.
But at a certain point, I have to be, because I try frame my things in such a way that aren't going to be offensive
Yeah.
to people, but still fact or truth. Now, my question to you, MJ, how practical is it that you don't want a guy to approach you ever? Like, is that how all women should feel, or is that just how MJ feels?
This is how MJ feels. Because I know for me, I'm very picky when it comes to men, you know? So, Ari, Tom, and Tabo out here should not be approaching MJ, you know?
Okay.
I'll come to Tabo.
And now
Sit tight, I'll come to you.
and I feel
I'll
like,
come
okay.
to you.
And
Listen,
I
wait, can I say something? You know, like this
Please
concept of
do.
sliding in the DMs.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a queen.
Yeah.
you slide in them DMs.
So you will know.
No shame about
No,
it.
no, 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 no.
And,
you will
and
know.
actually adding
Okay,
on to what
sure.
MJ have said, I
Yeah.
feel like times have changed.
Yes, girl.
You might think, okay, back then it was the guys sliding into the woman's DM, but I feel like times have changed. Women now, you see women taking authority and
Yep.
sliding into them DMs, and when you feel like, okay, no, this is not what it's supposed to be like.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's up to you. If you feel like this is not how you were, you were grown up to see,
Yeah.
okay, women shouldn't be taking authority, then that's up to you. You understand what I'm saying? But I feel like times have changed, and women are also changing with the times. Ngoku.
Okay. Dude, I've got a lot of questions. Just from what so, like, if you got questions, you better ask.
Can I just add
Otherwise,
on to
I'm
that?
just gonna take over. I'm
Be
gonna
Before we
the
move on to
CEO.
Yes.
something else.
Yes,
Before
yes.
we move on to something
Yes.
else, because I think it goes back to the whole power dynamics thing.
Yeah.
I think sometimes men need to sit down and reflect on, why is it that I do not want a woman approaching me?
Yes.
Right? Is it because it comes off as you being weak? Of which, for us, for me, if I approach you, it's not because I see you as you being weak. It's because I know what I want. So I'm going for what I want. It has absolutely nothing
And
to do
he
with
has
you.
the right to say,
Yeah.
okay,
You know what I mean?
don't want this.
You have
you shouldn't be
every
approaching
right.
So he's not, because it's a Liso
know?
and it's an MJ and it's an honor.
And
So
he has the right to say, okay,
wait,
this is
hold on.
not what I
Okay,
want.
wait. Hold on.
It's a whole power dynamic thing. Why is it that
Okay.
a man must approach me?
Okay,
Yeah.
wait,
Why?
Wait, hold
can I
up.
just say
Hold
something?
on,
You
hold
guys
on.
should have had like Liso on another
Wait,
podcast,
wait.
MJ on another podcast.
Wait,
Yeah.
hold up.
Crazy.
Hold up. I have absolutely no problem with women approaching
Yeah.
men, right?
Yeah.
So that's not where my problem lies.
Okay.
Now, if a woman feels confident enough with approaching a man, hey, look, so be it.
Yeah.
Right? That's how she wants to do
Yeah.
things. That's how she does things. That's how she prefers things to be done. Then, for sure, you do things like that. But do you perhaps not feel like men would value a woman as much if the woman is the one who's who approaches? Like,
Personally-
what's your opinion? What's your opinion in regards to that?
Personally,
Okay.
Can I just answer that?
Yeah.
Personally, I do not feel like they would value a woman that much if she didn't approach the man. Because you can let the man be the one approaching you, but he'll still treat you like trash at the end of the day. It doesn't matter whether he was the one approaching you or you were the one approaching him. It's got to do with character within the man himself.
Yes.
You
Okay.
understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah,
I
that's
like
how
that.
I feel.
Okay, I like that. MJ?
I agree with her.
Yeah?
Yeah.
MJ?
I think they
You-
agree
you-
with what I'm saying
MJ
right
felt
now.
very
It's gotta
touched.
do with character
MJ
more
felt
than,
very
it's gotta
touched
do
about
with
my
character
question.
more than anything. It's
Okay.
character within the guy. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
All right,
Anna
cool.
said it all.
Okay. I just wanna touch on some other things, right?
Yeah.
While I was doing my research
Yeah.
again about what rape culture is. And I came across these particular points. So we'll discuss them perhaps at the end, or maybe
Yeah.
I don't know how we'll work it, but I'll just read. Rape culture is a culture in which sexual violence is considered the norm. It's a culture where girls are taught to invest in pepper spray for their own protection, but boys aren't taught about consent. Basically teaching rape prevention and not consent. It's a culture that tells women that the length of their skirt determines how truthful their claims of sexual violence are.
Yeah.
Basically saying she was asking for it.
Yeah.
It's a culture that encourages women to keep their sexual assaults to themselves for fear of losing family members or ruining a reputation.
Yeah.
Basically saying you're just looking for attention.
Yeah.
It's a culture that tells boys that when they're raped by a female teacher, that they should be thankful that they were able to land a hot chick at such a young age.
Yeah, that's deep.
Basically minimizing the impact of rape when the victim is male.
Yes.
It's a culture that tells boys that they can't come forward about their rapes when their rapists are men, because surviving sexual violence makes you gay, and not being able to defend yourself makes you a wimp. Basically shaming male survivors into silence. It's a culture that jokes freely about men getting what they deserve in prison from other inmates, joking about rape. It's a culture that teaches men that they are incapable of being survivors of sexual violence because of physiological responses. The idea that men enjoy any and all sexual contact. It's a culture that teaches men that street harassment is a favorable way of approaching a woman. The idea that women owe men their romantic attention. It's a culture where one has to say no over and over and over again because men are taught that no secretly means yes. Basically, no means convince me. It's a culture where men are more willing to respect a woman's rejection if they believe that she belongs to another man. The idea that men determine a woman's autonomy. Rape culture is not the idea that we live in a society that supports the idea of rape, but rather that we live in a society that trivializes, downplays, and sometimes struggles to decipher sexual violence.
Yes.
Rape culture tells survivors of sexual violence that they are required to report their rapes, but only convicts 2% of their convicted rapists. Rape culture, unfortunately, occurs in silence. It creates a situation where people are made to feel responsible for the sexual violence that happens to them, but very rarely prosecutes people who commit it. Rape culture is a social bias that we can deconstruct. So that was a lot.
Yeah.
And I know lately we've been having, obviously, on the news,
Yeah.
Sandy Leman Sue, the other dude who also murdered.
Oh, Karabo also.
Yeah, Sandy Leman Sue
Sandy.
is the murderer of Karabo. And the other
And
dude
Zoe's
who.
murderer.
Yeah,
I don't know the guy's
I don't know his name also. But so we've been seeing this on the news and everything like that. How safe do women feel in our society today?
Okay, can I actually start off by saying, I think the major problem with societies these days is when if a guy has sex with a certain lady or a girl, it's seen as if the guy is actually taking something from a girl. And I think that's where the problem lies. Shouldn't be where you feel like, okay, the guy is taking something from a girl.
Yes.
What about the girl? Isn't she also taking something from a guy? And I think that's where the problem lies. It's that we see sex as if the guy is actually taking something from the girl instead of seeing it as an equal. Where, okay, these people chose to have sex where, okay,
Consensual.
yes, where sex is consensual. We don't see it as if, okay, these two people like agreed to have sex, but we always see sex acts as if, okay, the guy is taking something from a girl. It's even like, for example, if the girl and the guy aren't married, we see it as, okay, the guy impregnated the girl, so the guy should pay. Whereas both these people decided that they should have like consensual sex. So we don't see it as these people both agreeing to have sex, but we always see it as the guy is taking something from the girl. And I think that's where the problem lies. But okay, we see the guy as the one having authority over the girl's body.
Yeah. From terms, small things such as terms, have to pay damages.
Yeah.
Why am I damaged?
Yeah, because you
How
had
is
sex,
it that I am damaged?
It's because the guy had sex with you,
That's the
and they
thing.
see the guy as having more authority over you. So
It's-
now
it's
you damaged.
terms
The
that
guy
guys
isn't damaged,
use.
but you are
Yes.
damaged as a female.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, they don't see. Okay, there's a problem in these terms, and I think it's because these terms were used like a long time ago, and we've changed with the times. Mogo.
Even these terms are very violent.
I
Like,
smashed her.
What? I hit that.
What are you saying? What are you saying?
Can never
What are
be.
you saying?
Can never.
And to answer your question still, I don't think females are safe with any guy.
Yeah.
Whether you're dating the guy or you're married with the guy. I
Stranger.
actually read something that
Your
says
father.
girls actually kill the guy to get away from the guy, but guys kill the girl to stay with the girl. And I think that answers many of the questions that people have. For example, Karabo and all the other females that were killed. They were killed because they were trying to get away from the relationship or the marriage. But the girls killed to get away from the marriage. But the guys and whoever they with the partner that they were, they killed to keep the girl. So the males killed the woman to keep the girl. But Tina, we killed them to get away. We're trying to get away, but the guys, they trying to get a hold of us. And Tina, we want to go because we can see this is no longer beneficial for us. Yeah.
Also, I'd like to answer your question
Yeah.
from a personal perspective. For me personally, I don't necessarily feel safe on the streets.
Yeah.
I walk from home to school. I live
Yeah.
in Quigney, school Forte, like here in town.
Yeah.
So I walk. It's like a 15-minute walk, give or take,
Yeah.
depending on how lazy you are. But I don't feel safe. Like I remember, I was actually walking from home to here, River, for band practice.
Yeah.
And there was a scenario. It was like the smallest thing. It had nothing to do with me, but it made me aware of my surroundings. Right, just here by ShopRite, this car stopped on the side of the road, ne? And these men, like two men, jumped out from the front seat and one from the back seat. They were looking right into my eyes, ne? I don't know what was going on. Like, I honestly have no idea what the situation was. They were looking right into my eyes. But then someone walked out from a shop across the road, and then they went back into their car. For me, the first thing I think is these men were coming to take me, yabo. Because at that time, I was alone at that particular time. But when that man walked out, they got back into the car. I have no idea what was going on. I do not know why they were jumping out, but it rang, right? It alarm bells came, or like just started ringing for me. I don't feel safe at all.
And still, I think the other thing we should also consider, when you have like a female friend, and let's say, okay, they get from band practice, let's say it's 7 p.m. or 6:30 and it's late outside, and you ask them, okay, did you get home safe? Safe from who exactly?
Yeah.
That's another thing you should ask yourself.
Yeah.
Safe from who? When you ask them, did you get home safely? Safe from who? Because most of the time it's males
Yes.
that they should, look out for. Do you get what I'm saying? Because you wouldn't say, okay, did you get home safe? Because what's a female going to do to another female where if there's no other male involved? So the other question you should ask yourself, if you're asking them, did you get home safely? Did you get home safely from who exactly?
To echo that, males, I think they'd like to deny this, but I feel that men know that there's a problem,
Yeah.
right? It's just that some men refuse to actually acknowledge the fact that there's a problem. And in saying that they're aware of the problem, they're also very much afraid
Yeah.
of other males who are the cause of the problem, right?
And I think until the day that those other males decide to acknowledge that there's a problem, we'll never fix this problem.
Yeah.
We have, before you fix a problem, you have to first acknowledge
Yes.
that there's a problem. And before you acknowledge, okay, there's a problem here, you can't fix anything because you're in denial about the problem. So how are you going to fix the problem? You first have to acknowledge, okay, there's a problem here, there's this happening here, and we acknowledge, okay, there's a danger to society. Men are a danger to society. And I think the problem is that men get quickly offended. That's the problem.
Yes.
They get too quickly
Yes.
offended without first, getting what the facts are. And that's the whole problem that there is now. Men are too quick to get offended without understanding, okay, what do we mean by saying what we actually mean?
Yeah. Men are trash, for example.
He said we need
Exactly.
to be conservative because men are weak. So I want to hear what he has to say about this whole conversation.
Yes.
I also want to hear
Comment,
what he
please.
means by men are weak and
You
that
need to,
we need to
be conservative and not wear like lacy things.
What do you mean that men
Because
are
I
weak?
love lace.
Yes.
But he had said we need to be conservative.
How are you weak
CEO,
as a
please.
man?
Men are
From-
weak.
First of all, I've been watching y'all guys' timelines, and not just y'all, but whenever I log on social media, I always see venting and a lot of venting and a lot of venting. And this is my opinion. At the end of the day, you guys don't have to agree with it. Me personally,
But we can disagree
I
with it.
don't think that social media is a platform for that type of situation. Let me finish.
Please do.
Because we need to understand that
Yes.
we are in a different era. People are trolls out here. When you have a problem, that you have a genuine concern, and there's nothing wrong with it. And there's nothing wrong with it voicing it out.
Okay.
But now, the platform that is there for you
Okay.
is being used in a wrong manner.
Oh.
When you're gonna place your emotions there, saying, "Guys, I don't feel safe
Yes.
because of such and such and such," you're gonna get a random person who has data and wants to trend,
Okay.
sees your statement and feels that he has an opinion because now this is a great opportunity for him to trend.
Okay.
Now, he has no emotions attached to what he's doing. The only thing he wants is his numbers on his account.
Okay.
When you have emotions attached to what you're doing,
Yes.
you are going to be angered and have all types of emotions because of random stupid people wanting to comment. Like I said, it's just my opinion.
Yeah, I understand. I understand.
Hence why I invited you guys
I-
up here.
I
So you guys
understand.
can say exactly what you want to say. Which is why I've been so respectful and letting you guys voice out whatever you want to voice
Respectful.
out.
Yes.
Oh, so
He
kind.
has been French.
So,
Because
I'm not
there's some things that I didn't agree with, but I didn't want to jump in and be like, oh, no, I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, everyone is entitled to their own opinion.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I've just got one simple question for you. Do you feel as if women are so emotional to the point that they can't tell when someone is trolling on them or someone has a genuine concern?
Yes.
That's the one question I have for you.
Okay. I'm going to ask you a question
Please do.
Oh, no.
to counter
Yes.
what you just asked
Oh,
me.
yes.
You posted something about consent
Yes.
that had nothing to do with sex.
Okay.
It was just about consent. It had nothing to do with gender. And you made it a thing about females. That's fine. That's fine. I commented on the picture because it was speaking about
Don't do
consent.
this, Randy.
Yes.
And you bit my head
do
off,
this, right?
even
Yes.
though I had no malice
Yes.
behind what I was saying. She also attacked me.
Okay.
I didn't
If I can just answer to what you're saying now.
You said you were hurt by what I
The
said.
picture, the picture that I posted on social media, it had something to do with guys choosing to have sex with girls. Not even guys, but it had to do with people choosing to have sex with girls just because they drunk or just because they didn't give them consent. So I don't understand how you bring in gender just because you commented and I attacked you. Okay, this has got to do with rape culture. Where does that have to fit in with gender? Because I didn't mention gender. You didn't mention
You
gender.
actually did mention
Where did I
gender.
mention gender? Please enlighten
Guys, where's
me.
this post?
Do you have
Please
data?
Where's
enlighten-
this
Can we
post?
please
Where's
enlighten
data?
to the post?
Like working class?
Please
Working
enlighten
class.
me page go on Instagram.
Working
Please
class?
enlighten me.
Yes. Do you not have Wi-Fi in this building?
We do, but not in this venue.
Oh.
I
Okay.
don't understand how you mean, okay, I made it about gender when it was not about gender. Please enlighten me.
I'd like to also just interject. Consent, right, isn't just about sex, right? Okay, But at the same time, there was nothing wrong with her making it about sex. Because at the same time, we all speak from a personal perspective, right? You also made it about sex in the sense that talk to your sisters and something
Yes.
about how
Yes,
if they want...
I didn't even say anything about sisters, but guys, I want
Yes.
to see this post.
I want to see
can
this
I
post,
can I actually
please.
read what the post actually was about? This is what the post said. It said, "What is consent?" It says, "When it comes to sex, silence is not consent. Flirting is not consent. Being in a relationship is not consent. Consent for one thing is not consent for everything. Dressing in sexy clothing is not consent. Having sex before is not consent. Being too drunk or too high to say no is not consent. Being passed out is not consent. If a person is underage, it is not consent. Being afraid to say no is not consent. Making out is not consent. Going into a bedroom is not consent. Maybe is not a consent. No is not consent. Sexual activity without consent is sexual assault. Consent is voluntary, conscious, and mutual agreement between two people engaging in sexual activity. Only yes is sexual consent. Stop, ask, listen, get consent." And that's when Randy answered me, and he told me, but no, sometimes people should read body language and they should say yes.
I did not say that.
That's what
Did you
she
say?
said.
Enlighten
I did not
me.
say
What,
that.
what did you say,
I
please?
did not say that.
Enlighten me.
Women out here,
Sisters.
Okay, yes.
there are who say we need to read body language.
Exactly what I'm
Which
saying.
is the problem that we have
Ah,
as some male who have problem with consent.
Okay.
Because some of us don't know what your body language means.
Then why do you not voice uthethe? Speak
up.
with your mouth. Okay. Speak, Randy. I'm sorry.
Sure. Hi, Randy. I would just close this whole
and
thing
I feel like
because
body language
he
in
is just
itself
digging
is
himself
not
into like
consent.
a deeper hole.
Body
not.
language is not consent.
Body language.
Wait, can I actually tell
guys
you?
could be
no,
naked.
No, no, no.
It
Can
does
I
not
tell you
mean
why?
consent.
Can I tell you? No. Can I actually tell you why body language is not consent? If when, as a male, you choose to have sex with someone and you say it was body language, can I tell you what happens? The body in itself of a female can choose itself to open up, and when you might think it's-
Voluntarily.
Exactly.
The body
It is
reacts.
not consent, but the body itself automatically
Yes,
opens up to
yes,
the male.
yes,
and when you
yes.
might think it's consent,
biology.
but it's not.
It's
But
biology.
It's biological. But the body opens itself up, and the organs itself do things.
Going back to
and
what
you think
Steele
it
was reading.
consent.
My
Going back
apologies.
to what
My
Steele was
apologies.
reading.
Am
Thank
I
you.
mentally disturbed? Did I not say this is a woman's words? I did not say that.
Which is why I'm asking
Never
you.
have
Gebo.
I said body language is consent.
What did you
Please
say?
do not take me out of
What
context.
did you
But
say?
then you questioned it. You said that some
I
women
said-
say that body language is what should be read.
And
which is why
did
I'm
you
asking
ask
you.
all women about the body
Yes.
language, or did you
May I
just
speak,
assume
please?
from your own experience?
Okay, Ona.
Answer us, please.
Let him speak. Speak, Randy. We'll give you the platform
L-Zee,
to speak.
L-Zee, go.
Speak.
Speak, bro.
Let's allow him
No,
to
no,
speak.
speak.
Nah, I said he should shut it down.
Leave
No,
him.
speak,
Let
please.
Me,
him
I said
respond.
Randy, stop.
We will
Okay.
allow
I
Randy
said
to
Randy,
please.
no.
You're gonna let us know
You
when
will
you're done.
allow
man.
me.
We will allow you. Yes, please.
You're gonna let us know when you're done.
Yes.
So you may please.
Okay, L-Zee,
Okay.
please clarify what you meant.
Now, before I clarify what I said, let me start with what you started.
Yeah.
Because what you did over there, making rape culture only about men, that
No,
As
this
of-
is actually not about men. If you actually were
no,
listening,
you said males, 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 males. I listened specifically to what you were
You
saying.
won't listen carefully.
It was one-sided.
You were not listening.
bro,
I was listening.
you were not listening.
I listened.
You were actually not listening.
I was listening. Read it again, still.
I
read
read
it
this.
again. Read it again.
Both
Read
male
it again.
and female.
I'll read it
Read it
again.
again.
Rape culture is a culture in which sexual violence is considered the norm. It's a culture where girls are taught to invest in pepper spray for their own protection, but boys aren't taught about consent, basically teaching rape prevention and not consent. It's a culture that tells women that the length of their skirts determines how truthful their claims of sexual violence are, basically saying she was asking for it.
Okay, now tell me, where is the...
He's not
Okay,
done.
wait. Before you say anything, Randy, do you disagree with whatever he's read before now? Do you disagree? Before you get into the males, do you disagree with what he said now? Because that's where patriarchy lies. It's a systematical thing, don't forget. Do you disagree with what Steele has read now? With the skirt and everything, do you disagree?
Do
Okay,
you?
It's the norm.
Do you?
He said we need to be conservative, so
Do you disagree?
Basically, in a
I
nutshell.
agree with it.
Okay, move on, Steele, because you agree.
Whoa. It does not work like that. It's not one-sided.
What do you disagree
It's not
with?
one-sided.
But
What do you
that's what
disagree
he was
with?
What I disagree with,
Yes.
why is it being one-sided?
Wait, he's not done.
No.
He's not done. I'm asking,
L.Z.
do you disagree?
It goes on. It's pretty much the same
But
thing.
not the
isn't.
same thing. You were not
Oh
listening.
my God, I was listening.
You weren't listening.
L.Z.
If
Wait,
Randy,
wait.
wait. If
Wait.
Randy has more to say, can he please add on to what was being said about the males? How do you feel men are
Anna,
not being
Anna.
included
I
into
can't
this
do this
thing?
because
The
I don't
problem
want to
is that he
argue.
wasn't
Because
listening.
I'm not
It's not an
arguing.
So
argument,
let's
though.
still
Okay,
This
let's
is not
still
an argument.
finish.
We're not listening to each other
Let's
now.
let's
we're
still
shouting.
finish so you
Let-
can listen.
No.
Let me read it. Let me continue to read. Okay. It's a culture that encourages women to keep their sexual assaults to themselves for fear of losing family members or ruining a reputation. Basically saying you're looking for attention. It's a culture that tells boys that when they're raped by a female teacher, that they should be thankful that they were able to land a hot
One-sided,
chick
huh?
at such a young age.
One-sided.
Basically minimizing the impact of rape when the victim is male.
Yeah.
How is
Read
that one-sided?
Read that again. Read that again.
Hey.
It's a culture that tells boys that when they're raped by a female teacher, that they should be thankful that they were able to land a hot chick at such a young age. Basically minimizing the impact of rape when the victim is male. How is what I've read one-sided?
Thank you. Please comment.
Because I've read stuff when it concerns women and I've also read stuff when it concerns men.
Yeah.
No, I'm not reading that
See
again.
lies,
Can I explain it to you?
No, let it sink in. Let
Can
it
I
sink
explain?
in.
Bro.
What
do you mean,
What he's
Randy?
saying is that
Okay, no.
rape culture is a culture where,
Can I actually add
as
on
a
to what you're
male,
saying?
if I were a male, can I just explain what Steel was
Yes,
saying? If
please
I were a
do.
male, I should be proud of the fact that my first sexual encounter was with a female. Whether or not I wanted it or I did not want it does not
Okay.
matter. That's what he's saying,
And-
right? Which goes back to the fact that men get raped too by female. So just because a female raped me as a male, I
Yes.
should be proud because
We have been raped by a
Okay.
woman.
Okay. I agree with what you're saying.
Exactly.
What you're saying there, Randy. But I feel like if you want this debate to be fruitful, can you please add on to what you feel like was not added by Ustil? Then we can have a conversation about that. What do you feel when that was not added onto that when you feel like was lacking? Please add on to it.
Hold on. Can I just say something, right? Before you add on to anything, because perhaps you might what I read there are a couple of things that I read about males, L.Z. Nah? The fact that if a guy is raped by a female, culture, society doesn't
Recognize it
exactly.
as rape. Yes.
You understand? That's what that's talking about.
Yes.
Again,
And it's a big issue.
a man when he's been raped by another man, that
Yes.
thing you shamed into silence,
Yeah.
right? Because if you come out and say, "Hey, I was raped by," then you'll be considered as being gay or being a wimp
Weak,
because
yeah.
you weren't able to defend yourself. Now, my thing is this, right? If our focus is on females, we're not disregarding that male rape
Thank
is
you.
happening.
Thank
but our
you.
focus right now, initially,
Yeah.
is more centered towards females. You know why? Because
God
this
bless
thing,
your soul.
this thing, I'd bring it to this whole Black Lives Matter thing, right?
Yeah, we're still.
If we use,
He's the
hold
one,
on.
this one.
if we use that analogy, bro, né? There are people who say all lives matter, and I agree, all lives do matter.
Yes, still.
However,
You are hitting it on the
however,
nail.
at this point in time, né,
marginalized.
right now, the black community
Is
is
crying.
the one that's being attacked the most.
Marginalized.
By
yes.
themselves.
By
Wait,
themselves.
hold on.
How do you mean by
hold on,
themselves?
hold on.
Can
hold
I
on.
ask you a question?
Hold
Wait,
on,
wait,
wait,
whoa,
wait.
whoa, 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 whoa.
Please let Stolo finish.
Oh, so he can finish, but I can't.
No,
Give
you
the floor
also.
until he's done.
Because I was not done speaking.
He was speaking, but he was going to let you speak after him. We were also going to let you speak after him.
Let speak, bro.
Guys, Randy,
L.Z.
Defense.
Okay, wait. Hold on. Check. Look at this thing there, like this. Amongst the black community, we don't deny that there's black on black crime happening, right? There is black on black crime that happens. And that's not to say what it's not being dealt with. It is being dealt with, right? However, when a white person who is not part of this community
Yes,
is
preach.
going to shoot down people in the black community, racial prejudice, then of course that's going to be highlighted even
Of
more.
course, yeah.
It doesn't mean black on black crime isn't
Doesn't exist.
isn't wrong or doesn't exist. It's wrong.
Yes.
However, when someone who is of a different or comes from a different racial background is messing with black people, then the focus is not going to be so much on black crime. It's going to be
on the outside person.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because that shouldn't be happening, first and foremost. And then once that's dealt with, then we'll deal with this also.
Yes.
That's why I'm saying, that's why I'm saying, Oguti, I'm not saying that rape, when it comes to males, isn't there or doesn't happen. It happens. Everyone knows that. And we do understand and know, Oguti, it is looked down upon when a man is raped by a female. Nah? We do understand that. But what I'm saying, Oguti, right now, the focus is women. Because when you and I think about it, nah, the stories that are coming up, more and more stories that are coming up, women being killed, like you hardly see a story about another man being killed, you understand? Or raped by another man, like things like those. Not to say that they don't happen, but majority of what's happening, it's more towards females. And that's why I'm saying, and this, by the way, is not mine. This was something that I quoted from a lady that I saw. But what I'm saying is focus should be more on where focus is needed.
Yes, and what can you do towards it? But Randy will give you a chance to comment, please.
Okay, carry on.
No, we're waiting for you. It's fine. You can add on to what you wanted to add on. Unless you feel
I'd
like you
rather
do not
not,
need
guys,
to add
like-
on.
Can I just say something, please, with regards to what Steel was saying? I think if people, black women, first of all, the same as black people in general when it comes to race issues, black people are marginalized. And when it comes to male and female, black women are marginalized. So if we were to attack issues that black women are facing on a daily basis, then I think we'd be successful in attacking a lot of other issues, like men getting raped, right? I feel personally that black women are always willing to stand with black men, but black men are never willing to stand.
Exactly.
Only a few black men are willing to stand with black women when it comes to social issues.
And to add on to what Ulis was saying, I think the system, in the way that it's put together, there's first black and white. Then from us fighting a system from black and white, then we fight another system, men and women. You see? So, Tina, we're trying to fight the system from, okay, let's not fight the system from black and women, because the moment we win the system from black and white, the black man wins, because, Tina, we're still under the black man. So we're trying to fight the system, okay, let's fight the system first from inside. Black woman, black man. And it's not to say we hate black men. We're just trying to fight the system that benefits the black man.
Yes.
And when the black man doesn't see that he's benefiting from the system, that's where the problem lies. Because you get everything that the black people are supposed to benefit from, and we get what's left over from the black man. That's
But
where
also-
the problem is.
Also, if black men were willing to stand up with black women, then that means they would have to give up their power, and that's something that men are
That's
not
the
willing
thing.
to do.
And I think until the day the people that are in power, it doesn't matter if it's black, women, or wherever, until the person that's in power realizes that they're in power and the people under them don't have the power, until he realizes that the people need to get the same power that he has, the oppression will never end. You need to first realize, okay, you've got the power and you're willing to sacrifice it for everyone else to enjoy the fruits and the
greater
benefits from it. If you don't realize that you're in power and you don't want people to benefit from it, the system will never end, basically. Because when you're keeping the power, because you're in denial that you have the power, of which you do have the power, but when you just don't realize and you think people are out to get you.
They do
No, we're
realize.
not out to get you. We just want the same power that you have. We want the same privileges that you have.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to share the same privileges and you don't want to share the same power that you have, we're not going to benefit from it. And you'll always see it as we attacking you, but we're not attacking you. But we just want the same privileges. We want the same power that you have.
To echo what you're saying, I think men need to move away from the thought that black women are out to attack them. We're not out to attack you, guys. Which is why I think it's also important to educate yourself about things like hashtag men are trash. Because here's the thing. if you sit down and look within yourself and you feel like you do not fit into the category of men are trash, then why is it that you feel it is necessary to say not all men? Because you saying not all men is a way of you trying to shut me down, right? If you feel like you do not fall under the category of men are trash, then look at the people you surround yourself with. Educate the people that you are surrounded with, because you know better. You know that you are not trash, and you know that, okay, I might not be trash, but there might be other men who treat women with disrespect. I might be surrounded by rapists. What is it that I can do to stand with women, to advocate for women, right?
And
because there's so much that we can do
guys,
as women.
give Randy a chance
and
to speak.
actually, wait, just
Go.
that's just the last point there.
Oh.
Men are trash goes, like I said in the beginning, men are trash goes beyond the romantic thing that you think about. When someone dumps you, they're trash. No, it goes way beyond that. Rape culture, we look at that. When we look at like the men having more opportunities, having more privileges than us, that's when we say, okay, men are trash. When we look at us trying to escape relationships, but the men try to kill us, that's when we come in and we say men are trash. And until we discuss these things, okay, why are men are trash, and we try to resolve these things, we're never going to get to an end about, okay, why are men are trash. But when we're not just looking at the relationship aspects and the romantic aspects of why men are trash. Yeah.
Would you like
Speak,
the platform,
Randy.
Randy? Or are you just willing to listen?
Like I said before, I was here to open the platform for you guys to voice whatever you guys want to voice out.
Yeah.
I did not start this podcast because I wanted to start an argument.
Yes.
So when things got heated, I chose to back away.
Okay.
Because then the next person who is listening now here is going to feel the same way, feel like people are just bitter and
Heated.
angry, and they're just going to be shut out. So I'd rather be respectful and let you guys speak your piece.
Okay. Can I just ask from a genuine point? I'm not arguing. I'm not hot.
We weren't arguing.
And
Yeah.
I'm not
Yes, please.
whatever. But Ngoguge, I'm calm down and I'm just trying to ask from a genuine point of perspective. Where do you think, okay, you've got concerns or questions about this whole thing where you feel like, okay, this wasn't addressed properly, and we'll try to address it as properly as we can.
And in a calm
Yes,
manner.
and in a, like you said, in a
Calm
very
manner.
calm manner. Where do you feel like, okay, this is lacking, or you don't understand, but okay, what do you mean by this, and what does this mean? If you've got any questions, we'll try to address it in any manner that you wish. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. The thing is, I know a lot of people who've been victimized, male and female.
Yeah.
So to me, it's never a one-sided thing, because I owe it to both sides. Because I myself have been a victim. Half my life I was molested and raped, but I didn't know about it until I was grown up that this was actually happening to me.
Okay.
So I know other people who've witnessed this. So
Okay.
the biggest issue, like, society shuts men out.
Okay.
Okay. And I get that women are in a bad place right now. And as a man who was raised by women, I deeply understand, because when I'm not around them,
Yes.
I don't feel okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I don't feel okay. But when I question something about your guys' movement, it's not that I'm disrespecting you or I'm trying to shut you guys out. But I want you guys to understand, like, something that you said, that when men defend themselves from the not all men are trash. You're right. Men don't have to, like, defend themselves in that situation. But then another man is going to counter themselves, like when they say women are hoes. And then women are going to respond like, not all women are hoes.
Okay.
It's a very tricky situation. Like, what I'm trying to
Yeah. I
prevent
understand.
is them having a counter
I
argument.
understand. I I understand what you're
Because
saying.
men are always looking for loopholes.
No, I understand what you're saying there. And my response to that was going to be, I understand what you've been saying, and I've listened to what you're saying. And I feel like when you're looking for a space where men could also like tell their stories. Okay, not all men are trash because this happened. And I feel like once when you take that opportunity from women saying men are trash, that is not your space to say, okay, this also happened to me. You as men are supposed to create your own space where you say, okay, this happened to me as a man. And once you decide to add on to men are trash and you say no, men are not trash because this is what happened, I think that's where the problem lies. Men are supposed to kind of create their own space, their own safe space where they say, okay, this is what happened. I think one of the problems is that the masculinity of men doesn't allow them to create a space where they say, okay, I was raped because of this and that.
Yeah.
Because men have this thing, okay, no, you don't speak about this thing, you don't cry, you try to act tough. You get what I mean? And I think that's what
They make jokes about it.
Yes, and I think that's where the problem lies. Once when you take that opportunity from me as a woman saying, okay, men are trash, and you try to ride with that bandwagon and you say, okay, no, men also faces, that's where the anger and the emotions come out. Because when are you taking from me the opportunity that I had to voice out why men are trash? Men are supposed to create their own space to say, okay, this is what happened. And I think that's what men are trash also tries to counteract with it, because we try to address the whole thing. Okay, men take masculinity too much, but they say, okay, we can't address these things. You understand what I'm saying? Men are supposed to have that safe environment where they're allowed to speak about their experiences, to speak about their problems. I think that's where the problem lies. We don't try to fight men and say, no, when you don't suffer from the same experience that I had. I understand as a woman, okay, there are men who get raped, there are men who get sexual assault. You get the same experiences, but just don't try to jump on the experience that I had to delegitimize what I had and say, no, this happened to you. That's what I fight for. Don't do that. Take your own experiences and create your own platform to say, okay, this is what happened to me. Do you get what I'm saying?
Can I ask a question just in regards to like the whole hashtag men are trash movement?
Yes.
Because just the other day I was also tweeting, I read a thread on Twitter of this woman who was basically married to her husband, and like the husband was just a monster, bruh. Like, and then I
saw that.
I tweeted and I said, threads like this really make me feel like hashtag men are trash for real. How does a human being cause another human being so much pain? At that moment in time, I really felt like all men were trash. Does the hashtag men are trash really believe all men are trash? Or is it just a particular feeling? Like, is it just there to express? Because when I hashtag it, it's because I really felt like flip.
To answer what you're saying, and Liso and MJ can add on to that. When we say men are trash, we don't say all men are trash. You've never seen a hashtag where it says all men are trash. We say men are trash because why? Generally, the feeling that we get is that, okay, men do these kind of things, and men in majority do these kind of things. We're not denying that, okay, there might be some men who don't do these kind of things, but men in generally do these kind of things. So we don't say all men are trash. But the problem lies when someone takes this hashtag and says, but what about me? No. We didn't say all men are trash, so we don't understand why you're catching feelings and saying, but what about me? We said men are trash because of what these things they do to us as women and to other men who are their counterparts as well.
Also, with what Ona is saying, I think sometimes you need to remember that just basic stuff. Man, one person. Men, plural, can be 2, 3, 4 people. Just because I say men does not mean I'm speaking about all men. So when you come at me and say, not all men, you are silencing me. You're minimizing what I'm saying.
Right from the cause.
I'm not attacking every single man on earth, right? I'm speaking from my experience, because you'll find that women have had an experience with at least 2 men who have been trashy, quote, trashy towards them. At least 2 men, right? So it's not necessarily about me attacking every single man on earth.
And once you actually begin to question, if I say men are trash, and when you hop onto his data sum and you question that, you erase everything I've said,
Yes.
basically, because you're like, okay, but what about me? I haven't been trash. And people are actually gonna hop onto that, okay, but this one said they aren't trash, and I'm also not trash. So when you delete everything and my
Yes.
experiences that
Yes.
I've said,
Yes.
and that's the problem.
Also-
we don't say all men are trash, but we say majority, and the ones that we've experienced are trash. If when you feel like you're not trash, please, by all means, encourage your male counterparts. They mustn't be trash. Educate them how they can be better, how they can report like everything that's happened to them as well. We're not saying all men, but
Wow,
basically
Ona.
majority and the ones that we've experienced.
Can I?
they're trash. Please carry on. I feel very strongly. I feel very strongly about this topic.
Sure.
That's why.
Also, there are women who use the hashtag, they misuse the hashtag.
Yes.
Yes.
For example, if your
yes.
man doesn't buy you flowers, please don't say men are trash.
Yes.
Because you're taking away from the cause.
Definitely.
We're fighting a cause, yeah. So if he doesn't buy you chocolate, like just hop
Talk
onto
to your
the
man, babes.
text, you know?
And I think
man.
that's where
Ask
it
Or even buy
flowers.
yourself
And I think
flowers.
that-
Like,
that's
don't
where
misuse
it
the
goes back
hashtag
when I say
for
about-
petty reasons.
That's where it goes back when I says men are trash is not romantically.
Yes.
Don't choose, okay, this is romantically. It's not about being romance and who you're dating. It's a bigger cause than your boyfriend and you fighting. It's bigger than you, basically. Men are trash is bigger than you.
And we
your
do
little
deal with
fight.
women who misuse the hashtag.
Yes, we do. By
deal-
all means,
yeah.
we do. I agree, fully agree.
But there aren't many women because
I'd like
women
to backtrack
stupid.
a little bit.
Yes, please.
With what you were saying in response to what you said. I think everyone, males more especially, but also females, because like she said, a lot of misuse with the term, with the phrase "men are trash."
Yeah.
I think being able to discern is very important. You need to discern who is actually for the cause and who actually understands what the cause is about, right? Because I think the fact that men also get raped is a big thing. It's not like nobody knows that.
definitely
We
is.
know that. It's just
Yes.
that men do not want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Which is why I was saying not at the beginning, but somewhere in this conversation that men need to get themselves in a position where, okay, guys, because women are more marginalized
Yes.
and women actually, I don't want to say need the help, because at the same time it goes back to that whole thing of women need men. But your help would be appreciated
Yes.
in terms of fighting for the
Yes.
cause.
Yeah.
Men need to stand with women to fight for this cause. Because if we fight this cause for women, then it will be so much easier to fight the cause for men who have also been raped and sexually assaulted and abused by women, by other men, right?
And just to add on to what Ulis was saying, I think this whole men are trash and fighting the system thing, it goes way back. You first, as a woman, I first have to fight the system. I first have to fight the system. Then I have to fight the cultural system, because the man is the head of the home and he's the provider. And then I need to fight the cultural, the Christianity side as well. Okay, the man has the authority, because not all men in Christianity understand that for me to submit, I must first understand the kind of
Yes.
man that I'm submitting to.
Yes,
They're quick to
yes.
say, I must submit to a man, but they don't understand the caliber of the man that I must submit to. So I
100%.
must first submit to the system. I must submit to the cultural that says I must submit to the man. I must submit to the church one religion that says I must submit to the man. So when you look at it from any angle, women are oppressed by men, whether we want to acknowledge it or not, but we are oppressed by men, and we need to address that system, whether we agree or not, but we can see it, that men oppress women.
Awesome. Snap, I had a question. I was like,
On the subject of culture, how do you guys, what would you guys suggest for us to demolish? Because I have a huge problem with our
Yes.
culture.
Yes.
It's
It's
problematic.
a huge,
Okay.
because like I've been to the mountain, okay? The things
Yeah.
that I was taught, I do not disagree with, okay? Because the things they say about y'all,
Yeah, I
y'all don't
understand.
want to know.
No, I understand.
Y'all don't
I
wanna
understand.
know.
heard
And
some
And
of the stuff.
Can
that's
I
said.
actually
Really?
Can I actually
I wanna
add-
hear,
can
guys.
I'd love to
I
hear.
wanna hear.
I'd love to hear.
Lisa.
Lisa's on the
wait,
podcast.
Can I actually add
After the
on
podcast.
before we add on to whatever Randy is saying? But Mna Randy, from what you're saying, I understand that some things you can't disclose. And Mna, from my knowledge of what.
Not that I can't disclose.
Okay,
Disclose them,
I'll
Randy.
disclose it.
Okay, but
But
Mna
I'm
ne-
trying to.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
Okay,
I want to hear.
Mna ne, Randy,
Me
from
too.
what you're saying, I feel like culture as me as a woman, it doesn't benefit me in any way. Because when there was a whole thing when the movie Ingleba came out, and they were saying, okay, women must protest with the men. Then I said, okay, how does
That whole
culture?
movie was wrong.
And then
Don't-
I was like, okay, no, not that we're entering into the movie, but I was like, how does culture as a woman benefit me? Because culture has always taught me, nah, I am below,
You are below
a
the
man,
man.
and
Yes.
nah, I must submit to the man. How does culture benefit me as a woman? Culture doesn't benefit me. Instead, it tells me, okay, nah, I'm under the man, and I must submit to whatever the man says. How? Culture doesn't benefit me in any way. So no, I'm supposed to exclude myself from culture. It won't take away from anything from culture. But if a man decides, okay, he's not part of the culture, then that's why it's a big deal. Because the man has the authority, the man has the power. I don't have any power. As a woman, I don't have any power. I don't have any authority. Instead, I must do whatever culture tells me to do.
Actually, the main problem that I've noticed from our culture, it's more of a
Yes.
slavery thing.
Yes.
Because culture it has a lot of slavery in it. Even just the way that they expect you to do things.
Yes.
Oh my God.
That's what I mean. It does
Yeah.
not benefit
Like,
me in any way.
man, I've been
Yeah,
fighting
that's
this
why
for
my
a long
wife doesn't
time.
fall
I
under
told
any
them,
other
like,
stuff.
yo,
Yeah. Thank you,
the
Stu.
day I get married, my wife is a guest. She ain't nobody's slave when she comes to
That's
this
what I
house.
exactly. And that's what I mean, but okay, culture
100%.
does not benefit me in any way. But the culture is just me submitting to a man and doing whatever the man tells me. And culture doesn't even tell you what kind of at least Christianity and religion or whatever you want to call it tells me what kind of a man I must submit
Yes.
to. Culture doesn't tell me what kind of a man I must submit to, but it just tells me as long as he's a man, I must submit to him.
A man.
But even if he goes home and he comes back after 3 days, it doesn't tell me I must question
Don't
what kind
question
of man.
him.
No, I just
Also-
submit to him
also-
as him being a man.
Also, I feel like culture strips a woman of identity.
Yes.
Like you get a new name.
Everything.
And then when you get
Even
a
that
child,
whole
you
Just
mama
to
ka,
suit a man.
Liso.
Mama guys ban.
You're not yourself. You're
Yay.
Randy's wife.
Yes.
I think
You
for
get
me,
a new culture, but you don't get authority. That's what I get
You
from
know?
culture.
For me, I understand that parts of how culture is set up
Yeah.
goes back to
Oppression.
apartheid. It goes back
Oppression.
to that. As a man,
Definitely.
you're gonna go to Joburg. You're gonna be oppressed by the white man.
Yes.
You're gonna come home.
And
because
What do you want to
feel
do?
weak
You want to be
because
the
of
man
that.
of the
And
house.
go to
Exactly.
you know, it's the same
You're gonna want to
Exactly.
come be the man of the house.
Exactly.
And
You want
exert
power in
your
your
power
house.
and
Yeah.
your strength. I
That is a
understand that.
powerful statement.
I actually
right
get
there.
that. That's the thing. But then at the same time, like she's saying, it takes a man to get rid of all of that.
And-
now you need to sit down
Yes.
and realize, but I
We've
am
been
wrong.
fighting this.
So
man.
before we fight the oppression of black and white, we as women feel like we need to fight the
Starts
oppression
at home.
of men and women.
Yes.
Because we can't.
That's what I was saying about this whole Black Lives
can't
Matter.
just
Starts
fight
at
the
home.
oppression of black and white, because once we fight that black and white, we still won't get the same power, because the men will still have the same authority.
Yes.
So we need to first fight at
Yes.
home. Charity begins at home.
Yes.
Then we take it outside between black and white.
You know
Oh,
what?
nah.
This kind of brings me to the question that I initially had. So we're like discussing a part of what I was initially going to ask, which is throughout everything that I was reading, you know, from the quotes and whatever, it was saying taught, whatever the society teaches. And my question was, what are those things that are in place that teaches us? And I feel like culture is definitely one of them, but it's not the only thing. There are definitely other things in society that are placed that teach
Okay.
Yes.
men and women to think a particular,
Which is why we
in
say
a certain way.
I think, like you've mentioned, culture and religion obviously teach men and women how to act. But then I also think the education system, which then
Yes.
ties into the whole system. Okay, once you go to grade R and you go to matric and you go to university, they teach you how men and women are also supposed to treat each other. And I think that's where it all lies. That's why we're fighting. Okay, the system is the problem here. We must first dismantle the system. Then from the system, we move on to culture. We move on to religion, because that's where the whole thing lies. Okay, they teach you how to act as a man. They teach you how to act as a female. Do you get what I'm saying?
Do you feel like women embrace rape culture now?
I think there are women who do. That's the thing. I think
Njani?
for every struggle, there are women apologists.
Yes.
There
Yes.
are definitely apologists,
Mhm.
both men
Yes.
and women. There are apologists on Twitter. They're called pick me,
Yeah.
pick
Okay.
me Twitter.
Really?
Because
I've never heard of that.
they're called pick me's.
I think women, for example, where I'm from, the university that I'm from, it's more or less like a black university, so to say. And the way that the mindset that they have, it's kind of like cultural because they come from the black bundus and stuff like that. So if men tell them don't do this, you're tearing apart the family, they're not going to want to report the rape culture because it's how they've been taught how to deal with the rape culture,
Programmed.
you see. So they've been programmed in a way, okay, if this happens to you, you don't say anything, you keep quiet about it, you go to the clinic, you go to the hospital, and you make sure you're fine. Once you're fine, you shut up about the whole thing, you carry on with your studies, you get what I'm saying? So I feel like women, in a way, haven't been taught, okay, when this happens to you, this is how you deal with it. They've been silenced so much that they don't know how to speak about it when it happens to them.
Yes.
Question. What about music?
It's also very influential in how men treat each other. I mean, I don't think there's anybody in the world who doesn't understand the fact that
Entertainment.
pop culture, entertainment, TV has an influence in how we treat each other. So if your favorite rapper is talking about
B's and H's.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And obviously that's how I'm gonna see women because my favorite rapper says that women are.
And we grew up on rape culture, okay?
And from a female perspective, to add on to that, I think as a female, the way that music, rap, pop, and everything comes across to me as a
Yeah.
female, I think it minimizes the whole thing. If I'm raped, I'll think, okay, no, this is normal because this is what Lil Wayne told me about, and I think, okay, this is acceptable because this is what I hear
Lil
from
Wayne is
music.
rich and
So,
famous.
exactly. So I think, okay, no, this is not a big deal because I've heard about it, and people who've experienced the same thing, they didn't treat it as a big deal. So now I'm gonna think like, okay, no, this is not a big deal because people have experiences and they didn't overreact. So why am I treating this as if it's a big deal? It's not a big deal. It's a small
They
deal.
know it's a big deal now.
Yeah.
Because they're catching these rape charges.
Exactly. So not
They
only
know it's a big
so not only are women becoming conscious, okay, this is actually a big deal. But before that, women
And
thought,
I
okay,
love
this
it.
happened.
Yo, Hollywood
It
is
happened.
in trouble, man.
Yeah. Hashtag
I think
Hollywood
now,
is in trouble.
Yes, I think now only do women realize, okay, this is a big deal. But before that, they thought, okay, no, Lil Wayne told me, oh no, he got this honey and she didn't want to do this and she also did this. Then, okay, now I'm going to think, no, man, this is the same thing Jerome did to me. So why am I overreacting? This thing happens. Why am I overreacting? It's the same thing that happens to Hollywood. And who am I in comparison to Lil Wayne? So I should just deal with this thing and act like it never happened.
How do you guys deal with people that try to jump on your wave when they're not on the same wavelength as you guys? Like this whole Bill Cosby thing. Yeah, well, Bill Cosby has so many people claiming that he raped me.
Yes.
Now, Charlemagne said something.
Listen to
very-
that guy.
Charlemagne.
He's so problematic.
Very. They should take him off radio.
He is actually supporting you guys.
Okay, what did
When
he
it
say?
suits him anyway.
I actually
he's
agree with
actually
Ona.
afraid of
I
women.
actually agree with
Like,
Ona.
when it
Actually.
suits
When
him.
it suits him, yeah.
Charlemagne.
What did
I
he
actually
say?
agree with Ona.
What's about? Like there are women who've probably, let's say, like he believes that Bill Cosby has raped some woman. But what about there are some women that he hasn't raped. Now, because of those women, which he did not rape, it's so easier for him to get out of Lendoza of a rape. Because what the lawyers do is they focus more on the ones that they know are lying. And they use them to discredit everyone else and get the guys out of rape charges.
I think it goes back to what we were saying. In every struggle, there will always be some people trying to delegitimize what was happening. So I think even with the Bill Cosby raping some people, there'll always be some people trying to lie. And what you said now, I agree with it. Okay, the people who are representing Bill Cosby will focus more on the people that they know Bill Cosby didn't do this to them. And it goes back to what I was saying, okay, the people always be trying to, okay, fight the struggle that we're trying to fight for, okay, they make the struggle about them, whereas it's not about them and their lies. So we're not trying to say, okay, there will not be people lying about them, but we should look beyond that. Because it always happens in every struggle. Apartheid, anything, in any regime, there's always people trying to lie about the struggle to say, okay, no, this happened to me, whereas it didn't happen to them.
Yes.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yes.
I think a lot of times people forget how much power they have. Like, I'm using this term loosely, but people who aren't in power and the nobodies, I think they tend to forget how much power they have. Because with what she's saying, if people like us, normal people, stood together and were like, no, your focus should not be on, never mind Bill Cosby's attorneys, but other people, the jury, the defendants, or whoever you call them. If people were to come against that and be like, no, but your focus should not be on the people who lied.
Yes.
The focus
What
should
about
be
be
on
the
the people,
people?
the victims, the
Yes.
real victims.
Yes.
Then I think the
True.
solution
And it's
would
very
be there.
easy for even a lawyer to pay someone and say, come and lie and say, "You said this to us so that I can easily take your charge that you said, okay, he raped you. Because I know you lied and I paid you to say he lied. So I'll easily take yours. So I think Liso, he has got it spot on when she says, okay, no, that you actually focus on the people who actually were raped. Because it's the same thing with men are trash. When someone tries to delegitimize the thing that we're talking about and they focus on the lies, that's where the whole problem lies. When they start to focus, okay, no, but what about me? I haven't been trashed. But what about this person? They haven't been raped.
Yeah.
That's where the whole problem lies.
Which goes back to my main concern. Our justice system is trash.
It is.
So-
Yes,
No
no
lie.
'Cause
denying
it's
it.
designed for us to fail.
No lie.
Because now, like, I'm looking at the situation. It's so easy for a person like to get out of a serious crime.
Yeah.
Like, it's so easy. Like the whole situation with the rape thing. It's so easy, like, to point a finger, be like, they lied. So why the hell should we take you seriously? Type of situation. And now it puts a lot of people who have been victimized, and now the other person who have been raped, who probably wanted to say something, like,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
they lost, so why am I even going to speak out?
And I honestly agree with what you're saying, Narend. I feel like it's very problematic for people to lie and say they've been raped and whereas they didn't. Because it takes away from the victim coming to step forward and say, okay, I was raped. Because I knew, okay, this person has been found guilty of lying. So I don't know how will they believe me in me saying, okay, I've been raped. But that shouldn't stop people from coming forward. But
Yes.
of course, I understand as a female, okay, it's difficult for me to come forward because I know, okay, you're probably going to think I'm lying as well because of the other people. But I think that shouldn't stop people. But it will take more than just me saying that shouldn't stop people from coming forward. Because I feel like rape in itself and people being taken advantage of, it's a very serious case where I can't just say, okay, just come forward just because I'm telling you to come forward. You understand what I'm saying? Because I feel like this is a very serious case that in itself needs addressing itself.
Yes.
You see?
Yes. Also, I think we need to understand that the people who are in power,
Yeah.
these people were in the struggle, right? And I believe it's a known fact that when these people were in exile, when they were sent off to exile, the woman who they were sent off to exile with fell prey of their predatory behavior, right? They were raped by these men as well, the men who are in power right now.
Yeah.
So obviously, as a rapist who is in power, you're going to do everything in your power to make sure that your behavior is not exposed
Yes.
Yeah.
and that the law is for you
Yes.
as a rapist because you are in power,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So I think we need to keep that in mind as
So
well.
it goes back
Powerful
to saying,
point.
Narend, we need to question the justice system.
Yes.
Just because the justice system is there, we should actually question it. Who's this justice system for?
Yeah.
Is it really protecting me from rape, or is it protecting the predator
Yes.
who
Exactly.
raped me from being
Yeah.
held accountable to? You understand what I'm saying? Because in most times you realize, okay, the justice system is not really there for me, but it's there for the person that's actually in authority. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
From them actually being held accountable to what they actually did.
Yes.
To go back to what Lisa was saying, basically.
Yo, I feel like this is a lot, man, to
Yeah,
take in.
it is. Liso,
And
wait. Liso tweeted something the other day.
Yes,
Alright,
go back to those
I wanna
archives.
go to it. Flip.
Goes
Why
back.
is my phone doing this now?
Is
Okay.
it the tweet about asking a man for help?
Yes.
I can
Basic.
even say that verbatim.
Okay. Yes. Please just quote it.
I
and-
said in my tweet that asking a man for help is equivalent to selling your soul to the devil.
Yes.
Rarely,
Will a man ask?
rarely does a man help you
Yeah,
without
or-
expecting
yeah.
something in return, right? And I strongly believe that that forms part of rape culture. That forms part of the abusive patterns that we have as a country and as like a people. Generally.
And now I agree with what Ulis was saying, because generally it doesn't matter, not to take away from what she's saying there, but even if it's male or female, but when someone helps you, you usually expect an incentive from them,
yes.
because you help them. Where's the incentive? Okay, you help me. And it just so happens that when men help a female, they expect sexual returns in
Yes.
favor to how they help the female. And
That is true.
that's where men they get defensive. Okay, but what about me? I've helped you so many times, but I didn't expect you. And that's where we go back and say, okay, we've said about not all men are trash, but we just say men are trash. So don't take away from what we're telling you and saying, okay, when we do favors from men, they try to get other favors, sexual favors from us. Do
That
you get
is
what I'm
true.
saying? Yeah.
That is true because I help a lot of people out. And one thing that I've noticed is women are very defensive about getting help.
Yeah.
And once I got down to the whole situation, it's normally because some
Yeah.
guys always expect something. Yeah, man, we need to deal with this, man.
100%. But
We need to have a podcast with men.
Yes, to hear
Yes.
what they say.
I've got another question.
no, to tell them how trash they are.
Do women feel like men need help, and what
Yes.
help would women be willing to give to assist these men?
Okay. The first thing, I'm sorry for
I'm gonna take it. Like, I
Next
just
time,
looked at
don't
her.
invite me when Ona's here, please.
I think the first step to addressing this whole thing, men first need to acknowledge this whole system thing. Okay, they've got the upper hand, because that's where the problem lies. Once you don't acknowledge you benefit from the system, you're not gonna acknowledge me saying, okay, no, but this happened to me, because you don't understand where like the whole system favors you. So men first of all need to acknowledge, okay, the system favors them. And that's that. Then from there on, that's where we take the whole thing. Okay, how do we then change the system? Because the whole thing, if you look at it, it's basically systematic. And if you don't understand that, then you won't understand when a woman comes and they lay a complaint about, okay, no, I feel like this and that happened to me.
Also, these conversations are very important. Like, conversations like these breed ideas. So firstly, these conversations are essential. So you may need to sit down with other men while you guys are sharing a drink
You just took that
or
out of my
braai,
mouth.
you know,
I do
and
this a lot,
talk.
okay.
You know, that I think that's the first step.
Yeah.
It's quite exhausting.
I agree with you, MJ. I think
Okay, but what my question was, how do females feel like they can assist?
okay.
in
I was actually going to
helping
answer
these
that.
men?
I was actually going to answer that with what MJ said. Firstly, men take other men more seriously than they do women, right?
Patriarchy, but
when
that's a up.
you
Not
as a
today.
man who knows what is right and wrong, imagine the influence you could have with your buddies who do not listen to us. I feel as though it would be essential for us to listen to so and so when it comes to this. They're gonna listen to you because right? And then I get there and say my piece. I think that's a start. Say my piece. Leave you guys saying you guys need to read up, educate yourselves. I can do so much as a person.
Hey, man.
But you guys need to educate yourselves.
And to add on to what Uliso is saying, I agree. And that's why I'm so grateful for this platform that we have, because I feel like more often than we realize, women aren't given the voice to actually say what they think. Because religion in most churches, they don't give women a chance to actually say what they're thinking. Culture doesn't give women the chance to say what they're thinking. So the problem is that we as females, we don't get the chance to voice what we actually think men can do to help us.
Yes.
Do you get what I'm saying? And Uliso has so rightfully put it when she said what she said. You understand what I'm saying? But the chance is that we don't get the opportunity to say. So when we give it the opportunity to say, now we bombarded and we don't know what to say because we never have the opportunity to say what we think men should do. But in most cases, you just find it's there on social media because men and don't give women a chance to say what they're thinking to say. And that's why women mostly say what they're thinking on social media and they get trolled and the thing gets deleted and all that, because the only chance we get to voice our opinions is on social media.
which is why we're opening this platform.
And that's
for
why
you.
I'm so grateful
You know
for
why
it.
I'm asking this question?
Yeah.
It's because I guarantee you majority of men in our society, nah, if you were to ask them this question, how do you feel like women can help you in
Yo.
not being
Yo.
in not being trash,
Yeah.
right? I guarantee you one of the things that will come up is they should dress more decently. They should,
Conservatively.
you understand? Like things like those. So that's why I'm asking the question, how do women feel like they can help men?
Yeah.
You understand? I want to get your piece on the matter. And I get the fact that you guys are saying men should educate themselves. I get the fact that you guys are saying men should sit around with other men who are reasonable and speak with them. And yes, I agree with those, and that is a start. But that's more like men helping other men. I wanted to know, what are women willing to do or wanting to do, or how can women help men?
It's amazing how we need to teach
I
men
think,
how to treat us.
you know,
Before
we need
y'all
to baby
answer
them.
Steel,
Yeah.
I want to ask a question from you guys as females.
Okay. I'd really like to answer you. We'll get
Because
back to that.
Abantu Abadala have a different opinion, because I have this conversation with my grandmother all the time. I want to know, you guys as a youth, how do you guys feel about the way some females appear in public?
I think that we need to understand that each and every person deserves the right to have agency over their own bodies. That my body is my body, and however I choose to present myself really has nothing to do with anyone else, because it is how I am choosing to express myself. I think it also falls into the whole cultural and religious thing, where women are told that
Actually, culture is also very wrong.
when women are
because-
told, yes, very much, that no, you cannot wear something that will expose your thigh, because what if a man is sitting next to you? But what does that have to do with me? That actually shows that the problem is not with me, the problem is with the man, because he's sitting next to me, so why can he not control himself? Why is it that the fact that I am dressed in a certain way makes him want to do a certain thing? Why can he not sit down and talk to himself and be like, no, but Lomdu is dressed this way because they want to dress this way. Why can I not decide for myself that?
And I think the whole thing culture does and religion does is that it takes away from the autonomy that a woman has over their own
Yes.
body. If I want to dress this way and I want to be this way, do not question me and ask me, why am I dressed this way? Why am I wearing a miniskirt?
think I don't
Because
respect myself
you
when I'm dressed
understand.
that way?
If I want to, because if a man goes to the beach and okay, they're walking outside, even not even to the beach, and they're wearing something like I don't know what do you call wife
Do they
beater,
call them
wife
Speedos?
beater. No one's gonna be like, don't look at that man because what. But when I'm a woman, instead I'm told, okay, no, don't dress in this
Wear
way
the
because
bikini.
don't dress this way. You're attracting men and whatnot. A woman should have autonomy over their own body to dress the way that they want to, without them being told don't dress this way because of a man.
But usually when men dress like that, they want to be looked at.
And I think it goes back to the whole thing of the system, basically.
You are thinking for me.
You think that we dress
No,
this way because we
I'm-
want
I'm-
someone
I'm-
to
Not
look at
every
you.
man.
No, no,
right?
what I'm
Don't
saying-
make statements like
No, what I'm saying is, I'm saying usually. I didn't say all the time.
I can
I said
understand that.
usually.
Like,
When
yeah.
men dress like that,
Yeah.
But
usually,
guys.
usually when
Still.
guys put on a speedo and they're gonna be buff, especially like you
But it's the same thing.
like you hardly.
But basically, you're
L-Zee.
giving them an argument about
No,
them now,
what-
because when they
No,
dress that way,
my
they're
man.
gonna say women also want attention.
No,
you can't say
no, no, no,
statements
no, no,
like
no,
that.
no,
Still.
no. I can, because that's what
To-
the
to-
thinking of
Yes.
men, not all, most, is.
What are
I
you
don't-
basing this on?
To add on what,
Okay,
wait, can I
L-Zee.
actually just add on to what Ustad was saying there? When a guy is dressed that way, automatically you assume, yay, he wants his girls and these girls are going to
See.
look at him. But when I dress that way, automatically
He's
it's
diminishing
shameful.
us.
Why is it shameful for
No.
me to dress that way? But when he's dressed that way, you're like, hi man, still you're going to get these girls, you're going to get these, what, you're going to get this attention you're looking for.
Wait, hold up. What I'm trying to say is, Uguti, when guys dress like that, or when guys put on a speedo and whatnot, majority of the time, it's because they actually want
and it's
that
because they
attraction.
want it. But now when I dress that way, it's not because I
Hold on.
want it. I'm just wearing it because
Hold
I
on.
like it.
Hold on, yeah. But that's the thinking
Yes,
behind
yeah.
most men. Uguti, when
Exactly.
women dress like that, it's because they want a certain type of attention. You understand?
That's the problem.
That's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say. So my question then is, because bangayikas namhlanje, like if I can go with you guys, siyekas,
Yeah.
right? Where I come from, Emonj, 3105. Né? If we can go there, I guarantee you how you dress matters. Because how you dress is going to attract or repel certain guys.
I agree with that.
Now, my thing is this, ne? Uguti, you can find a society of women that if they decide they don't want to put on anything, they don't want to put on anything, they walk
Zoto
around.
band, yes.
Exactly. So, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yes.
They walk around and you'll find men who are not moved by that. They'll see that, they'll look another way and carry on with their life. But you'll find men without any restraint who will see that and will do anything or by all means try to get to that space.
Yeah.
I think it all goes back to educating people
Choosing.
in what it means consent and what it means to women having authority, because oftentimes you find ababan basekasi, like you so rightfully said, but they are the ones who are going to be looking and be like, hi man, this is repelling, hi man, this is okay, attractive. Whereas if I go to a Santon, people are going to be like, okay, you dress this way, whatever, I'm moving on. Why? Because the people in Santon, most cases, I'm not saying all, most cases they're more educated, and the people like us, they're not educated. So when they see this thing as, okay, no, they look at it in a cultural way or a religious way, where people in Santon, they're more educated. So they're not going to look at it in the way of religion and cultural. They're just going to look at it, okay, this girl, she chose to have autonomy over her body, so it's fine. Let her do whatever she wants. Whereas Ekasi, they don't look at it in that kind of way. Do you get what I'm saying?
Do you feel women need to be responsible just as men need to be responsible?
I feel
In
like
terms of how they dress?
I feel like women don't have to do anything.
In terms of how they dress, in
I
terms of how they
don't feel
carry
like- I
themselves,
feel
in terms
like
of
women-
how men dress, in terms of how men carry themselves.
Yeah.
Just do you feel like there needs to be a sense of responsibility from both parties?
Okay, I feel like the way
And this is not to say anything in regards to
Yeah.
victim blaming.
yes,
Right?
I-
Because
yes.
that's another topic.
yes.
I once had a conversation with
Basically, it means morally.
I once had a conversation with a friend of mine, and I said, a woman can walk past, right? And she can be naked. It doesn't give any man any right to do anything, right? But do you feel that that woman needs to be responsible?
Yes, okay. To answer what you're saying, I think it goes back to the whole thing we were saying about the system, that men have been conditioned to think. You might not think that way, but generally men think if a woman is dressed this way, it means this, it means that. Women don't need to be in control over anything. If women have been oppressed enough, if I decide to come to church or I decide to go walk in Hemingway's wearing whatever, it does not give any man a chance to look at me in that kind of way. It all goes back to men needing to be educated. It all goes back to men having a responsibility to readdress like the way they've been looking at women themselves the whole time. And I think the problem is that the system has changed in such a way that men from back then, they need to go back now and learn the things that we've learned and the things that we've been, the thing that if our eyes have been open to. Men back then don't really think, okay, they've got a problem with the way things are going on now, because they think, okay, the way things were going on in the past, it's still okay. Whereas times have changed, but they don't want to move on with the times. Do you get what I'm saying?
And I also think mutual respect is very important. If everyone respected each other, then there wouldn't necessarily be a need for a sense of what did you say? Responsibility in how everyone carries themselves. If you as a man respected me as a woman, then me walking naked would not have any effect
And
on
I
you,
think
because you'd understand that this is me choosing what I want to do with my own body.
And I think the other thing you need to keep in mind is that men have been doing whatever they want to do for a long time. They've been dressing the way that they want to dress. They've been carrying themselves in the way that they want to carry themselves. They've been having multiple partners for however long they wanted to.
Yeah.
But now it's a new thing when women want to occupy these spaces that men have been occupying.
But Honor, does it make it right that men do that? Like, because that's the question. Because if you were to ask me today,
Yeah.
you mentioned everything that you've mentioned.
Yes.
And then you asked me the question, does it make it right? I will tell you today, no.
It
does
doesn't
not
make it right.
So it's almost as if it's like, please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's almost as if what you're saying is just because men have been doing this, it gives women the right to do the very same thing. However, when I as a man, bear in mind that I've been saying, guys, this isn't right. When I as a man now, women doing this, and I come and say, ladies, this isn't right, it feels like I'll get more backlash because women are now doing it.
I think the problem is that we haven't found the common ground to
Yes.
say, okay,
Yes.
this is what is acceptable and this is what's wrong. Society has never found the common ground to tell men this is what is acceptable and to tell women this is not what is acceptable. Then this goes back to saying when women are fighting the whole system, they're fighting for equality. So whatever a man has and for whatever opportunities the man has,
Yes.
we also fighting to have the same opportunity. So we don't know what the common ground is for what is right and for what is wrong.
Yes.
So we're just fighting for the same opportunities and for the same equality. So we don't know what is right and what is wrong. And until we have the same equality, then maybe we can go back and discuss, okay, no, you know what? This is not what is right. This is what is wrong. So let's move away from that. And until we have the same equality, we can't say, okay, this is what is right and this is what is wrong.
I agree with her. I'm basically going to say the same thing as what she said because it's also what I was thinking. But I think we need to get to a point where men need to stop trying to correct women in terms of, no, you can't do, whereas they're doing the same thing. I think just let people be, because I think when we allow each other to see each other as equal in spaces, then we will be able to create a space then where we can talk about, okay,
Common
guys,
ground.
we're doing the same thing, yes, but is
This
it
is
right?
yes. Because we
Right?
can't talk about what is morally right and what is morally wrong, whereas the men are doing this.
Yes,
And
and the
I
women are
also
not
want
allowed
to do
to do
what
it.
men are doing, what men are doing. But until we can get, okay, hasn't done, men are doing this, women can do this. So guys, we all doing this. So let's just get a point, okay, what is morally correct
Yes,
for society?
yes.
What can we do that is correct and what is wrong?
Because you know what I feel like this is, right?
Yes.
I feel like this is, like, look at the situation now. Like, please just imagine the situation, right? I feel like it's almost like a situation where, if that's the case, and I agree with the finding common ground
Yes.
and having the conversation about common ground. I agree with that. However, I don't know if I necessarily agree with the methodology
Yes.
of that you guys are presenting in regards to getting to a place of common ground. Because for me, this is what it feels like, right? It feels like as a guy, I'm trying to burn out one fire,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Naku paraffin.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah, tell her
And I'm
that.
like,
Yeah.
you understand? It's almost like, I'm like, guys, stop this behavior. Like, you as dudes need to stop this behavior. I'm having a conversation with guys, and there comes a woman doing,
Yes,
you understand?
yes.
Kind of almost, in a
Yes.
sense, promoting the behavior.
So I think what we should go back to is to try get the root cause of this. What is actually perpetuating this kind of behavior? Is
Yes.
it religion? Is it culture? What is saying this culture is correct in doing it? Is it religion that is saying this is correct? Is it culture that is saying this is correct? And then once we identify, okay, no, this is what is saying this behavior is correct, then we can deal accordingly to that. You understand what I'm saying? Because until we get, okay, what is it that's making people behave in this way? Is it culture? Is it religion? Is it society? Until we get, okay, what is it that's actually influencing these people to behave in that way, then we can actually deal with that. Because people behave in a certain way because it's either culture, religion, or society says it's okay. Because if society says it's not okay, I'll know, okay, I'll probably get arrested for this. If culture says this is not okay, I'll know, okay, my ancestors will probably punish me for this. If religion says it's not okay, I know, okay, God or whoever I believe in will say, okay, this is not okay. So we need to find what is it that's making people think it's okay to behave in this way.
Also, still, you can't
100%
do
agree.
anything on your own, right?
No, 100%.
I understand the whole thing
100%.
of, which goes back to the whole thing of educating yourself, educating your bodies. Because imagine how much influence you would have as a group of men than Wena as yourself, right? You could put out that fire even before I get the whole idea of, yazi ndoni, in order for things to work out in a certain way, I also need to act like a man. By the time I think about that, that fire would have already been put out. Why? Because a lot of men are actually trying to get their buddies, their fathers, their uncles to think in a certain way that, guys, I got right, Ilenda. This thing of us having multiple partners but we're married is not right. This thing of us having multiple partners but we're dating one girl is not right. Treating women in a certain way is not right. By the time I think that I need to get myself 5 boyfriends just so I can feel like I'm an equal to a man, you guys would have already put out that fire, and Nama will say, but you know what, this is pointless. Because then I'm fighting this fight on my own. I'm fighting against people who are not even doing this anymore.
I think
100%.
the only way to fight the fight that we're fighting is to find the root cause. Once we root out this thing that's causing people to behave in this way, then we can possibly change the system and the way people react. Because people don't just out of nowhere, they get born and they choose, okay, let me do this. It's because of how society and how they've been socialized to think about things. Then they react according to that way.
I'll
13 reasons why.
I'll tell you one thing personally for me that I'm very passionate about, and that I feel like is a major influencer in our society basically being the way that it is, and that is media and entertainment. Like for me, that's the one field that I'm very passionate about, and I'm very passionate about addressing that particular field. I, of course, know and understand that there are other fields, but I don't have as much of a passion for them as I do for this one here, because this one, pop culture, like you said, Liso, is pretty much letting young people and pretty much almost everyone know, okay, this is what's trending, this is what it is, this is what it is, this is how it should go, this is how things should be run or whatever. And I'm really passionate about addressing things like those, music videos. You know what I mean? Like, why does a music video always have to have a girl? Why do adverts, or like you're advertising an aeroplane? You know, what does a girl have to do with a half-naked girl have to do with anything in regards to an aeroplane or, you know, it woods. What's that? Cough mixture. What does a half-naked woman have to do with anything in regards to that?
I think what you're saying, Newena, still, it goes back to what Urani was saying, that media is filled with a lot of people who are trolls. You don't really have control over what happens on the media. Yes, Tina, we might try as a minority to influence those people, but we can only get to a certain distance, because there's always going to be other people who are trying to delegitimize the whole fight that before, and there'll always be trolls or people trying to fight the whole thing, and when they do the opposite of what we're trying to do. And the media, the problem is that with the media, yes, it's very influential, the media, but the thing is we don't have control over it. That's where the whole thing lies. But okay, we don't have control of it. What happens when someone else comes into the whole fight and they post something we don't agree with, and all of a sudden it trends more than what Tina we stand for? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, as much as you might not have control, or as much as we might not have control over certain mountains or fields or whatever, doesn't mean that we can't address them.
Of course not.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
Because we don't have control over the government or the justice system, but it doesn't mean that we can't address it. You know, it needs to be addressed because we're looking for the root cause, right?
Yes.
And I feel like these mountains, media, education, politics, all of these things.
And I feel like it's very true what you're saying there. Even though we might not have control over the media, it doesn't mean in the spheres that we're in, we can't try to add our input.
Exactly.
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 You know what I'm saying? So I feel like what you're saying is actually very true. Even in the spheres that we're in, we might not have authority or control over it. Doesn't mean we shouldn't voice our opinions or speak about the way we feel about things.
Precisely. Because you look at the Me Too movement, right?
Yeah.
Like that thing literally shook.
It shook Hollywood to its
exactly.
core.
You understand? To such an extent where the people who are at the very top of the food chain are going to be uncomfortable because women can now speak out. Women are now speak. There's a movement for women to speak out. You know what I mean? So, and even though those women aren't at the top, some of them are actresses. Some of them are know, in Hollywood getting acting jobs and whatever. But for them coming out and speaking out,
And
points
that
to
might actually be the only voice that they have. That's
Yeah.
the problem. Media might only be the only option that they have to voice their opinions. Because maybe at the work, when they say something, it's disregarded. But whereas when they say it in the media, it's something that actually shoots up and it actually sparks attention from people elsewhere.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is why it's very important, like you guys have been saying, to have not necessarily have a voice, but to advocate for what you believe in whatever sphere that you're in. You're in media, advocate for what you believe in media. I'm at school, advocate for what you believe in at school. Because in many ways, all these parts interlock in many, many, many ways that
there'll always be people trying to fight against what you're for and trying to silence what you're actually there for and what you're actually trying to stand up for.
So you need to be a voice to counter all of that. Because if at school, for example, there are people who are talking about, hi guys, rape is not a big deal. Hi guys, if I'm quiet, who's going to be a voice for those people? Who's going to open up a platform for people to be able to actually speak out about their own experiences? So wherever you are, you need to be able to advocate for what you believe in. It's very important. It doesn't matter what position you are in. You might be a cleaner. Even if you are a cleaner,
if you've got the opportunity to voice out what you want to,
other cleaners.
Voice it out.
Educate all the other cleaners. There's going to be one cleaner who's actually friends with the manager. He will educate that manager, who will educate all the other managers, who's friends with, it's a chain, basically, chain reaction. So I just think we need to be aware of
the influence that we have.
Be aware of the influence that you have and actually take charge and do something about it.
Okay, now, you're speaking my language now. And when you say things like that, y'all guys are in school. Why don't you guys start something?
I feel like it's not that we haven't started anything. There actually has been a program, for example, that's got to do with gender-based violence. And we've been attending those talks where they actually address things like gender-based violence or people who've actually been raped and how to go about the whole thing. Yeah. So we've joined those things and we've actually also tried to view, okay, how can we add our voice onto this thing? How can we actually be of benefit to this whole thing? Because I feel like it's of no use us joining the whole thing if we're going to keep quiet and let the people who actually run the whole campaign speak. We also have to look, okay, how do I feel like I can benefit this whole program, and how do I feel like I can be influential like within this whole program? And to which now I've attended this whole thing and I've seen, okay, this is where I need to add, this is who I can speak to, and so on.
Are you happy with that program?
I am happy now, but I feel like it's a start to where we want to move.
Yeah.
And we can, of which there are gaps, and I can add on to that thing. Yeah. It's a first program where I am, like the university that I'm in, it's the first program that I actually have to address this kind of thing. So I feel like it's a start to move towards the right direction that we want to move into, and I can also add on to it.
Also, it's like the smallest thing.
Yeah.
The people you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
You find yourself in a place where you're surrounded by problematic people.
Yeah.
You try to educate those people. They are not willing to be educated or find themselves in a position where they're willing to listen.
Yeah.
Guys, the block button is the easiest thing ever. Block and move on. Imagine if Ona, MJ and myself had the same friend in common, and we all three of us saw that this person is problematic. All three of us block this person. Will this person not then sit and be like, okay, maybe I am the problem? Because all three of these people, and find themselves in a position of reflecting. It's like the smallest thing ever. But you should never find yourself in a position where you're willing to compromise what you believe in just because you want to have a friend. If someone is problematic, get rid of that person in your life. And alienate that person as much as you can so that they can learn.
And I think it goes back to the whole thing of trying to see
point.
where can you get your voice heard.
Yeah.
Because it's not easy for you to just go into a university institution and be like, hey guys, I think this is what's wrong, this is what's right. But find a program that's actually there. Yes, a platform that actually addresses these things, and see where can you add your own voice into the whole thing. So that's what I also tried to say, okay, this is the platform, this is where I can also add my whole voice onto it.
I've got a question. Okay, you want to ask something? Man, I've got lots of questions, bro. I've got a question there. And I'd like MJ to answer this. I want MJ to answer this. So Sandile Mansu or whatever got like 32 years. We don't know how many years this other guy's gonna get or whatever. But like, I've been seeing a lot of tweets on Twitter and stuff like that, are people saying, nah, death sentence. Please, how do you feel about that? Like, do you feel like death sentence is really where we should go, or do you?
No, because I feel like death sentences are like the easy way out, right? Because firstly, this guy, people are like, no, this guy needs rehab. There's something wrong with him mentally. But this guy, he doesn't need rehabilitation because he's not sorry for what he did. Because even when is it a doc? Even when he went down, he had like peace signs and deuces in the air. And I'm like, this guy he doesn't need rehab because he's not actually sorry for what he's done. Therefore, giving him the death sentence would actually be an easy way out. He needs to sit in jail, reflect if he's ever gonna reflect, and actually deal with not get raped.
Okay, but
like, two wrongs don't make a right.
Do you feel like 32 years? Do you feel like 32 years is sufficient? Because I mean, he's still young. I think he's about 20 something.
32,
Right?
32 years is like 16 years, right? In like real life years.
Yeah, because they don't have
No,
He's gonna be out in like 16 years.
he was supposed to get
Did
like
the guy do
64.
something to a woman?
He killed her.
Can I actually
Then
add
trust
on?
me, he's going to get raped.
Can I actually
They don't allow
add
that
on to
in
what
jail.
MJ is saying? Because MJ, I think she's saying there that she feels like it's not enough. Yes, and I actually agree with what MJ is saying, because whatever years he's going to be put in prison for, it's not going to take back
It's
what
not
he's
gonna
done,
equal
and it's
what
not
he's
going to
done.
erase what he's put the woman through. Because even though he's in jail, the woman's always going to have she's going to have these encounters where she meets men and she can't react the normal way that she's supposed to with men.
Had she not been
because
killed.
She's dead.
Had she
Yes.
not been killed, like in
Yes.
an abusive
Exactly.
relationship type
Like,
thing.
even if you get raped, you won't be able to react the same with men the way that you're supposed to because of your previous encounters with men. You understand what I'm saying? So I feel like it's not a good sentence, but it's towards the right direction that they're actually being held accountable for. It's towards the right
actions.
direction, but
What-
it's not.
Been held
It's
accountable
not.
for a very long time.
Yeah.
Men have not been held accountable for their behavior.
What do you think is the appropriate judgment in that case? Not necessarily years. What do you think should be done in situations?
Initially, that's what I was asking.
But like I said, though, guys, like death sentence is not an option because
Okay.
that's an easy way out.
Okay.
So him sitting in jail and actually reflecting on what he has done, then maybe that's a good enough
And-
sentence for him.
And I feel like when we're looking at our justice system, or when we think about justice system, there's no other system that we can put in place to say this is what you deserve.
Yeah.
Tina, the only option we can think of is, okay, this guy going to jail or this guy being put onto where he's killed. You understand what I'm saying? So, Tina, we don't really understand, okay, this is what's fit for him. Because we can't say, okay, we wish him to get raped and to get killed. Because this would be us perpetuating the same system that we're
Yes.
fighting for.
Yes,
So we can't say, we hope that he gets raped. We hope that he gets killed. We can't say that. But we only wish for him to stay in jail, but of which it's not going to take back what he did. So there's no system put in place that can be of equal to what he did, and for us to say, okay, we feel like this is the correct system, this is what he deserves. There's no system that he deserves. Because us saying he must die, it's an easy way out, but us saying he must be put into prison, it's not going to take over what he did.
Yeah.
He must just not do.
Can I
What
just
So
he
there's
did.
no appropriate. So
There's
to
no-
answer our question, there's no appropriate.
Yes, there's no
judgment.
appropriate, so he
isn't.
mustn't do it in the first place.
The thing is, you
I know
guys,
for people
I think
that have done it, that's our concern.
There's no appropriate. That's
Chopping-
how
chopping-
bad it is.
That's how the
bad it
bad the
is.
justice system
That's how
is.
bad the justice system is, and that's how bad the crime that he committed is. There's nothing
Yeah.
that he can do
Yeah.
to make
'Cause it won't
to
bring her
make
back.
amends to what he did.
Therefore,
That's
no
what
to the
we're
death
back.
sentence.
I think it also
No.
goes back to what we've been saying the entire time, that the struggle is firstly very systematic,
Yeah.
right? Because you look at the justice system, prisoners, guys, they're having a ball in prison. These
Yeah.
people, they
Education and all, they
you
get
know what I mean?
educated. They
get
come
an
up with
education.
Not
free
everybody.
knockout, bro.
There's
Not
nothing wrong
with
everybody.
the doctorates.
There's
master's
nothing wrong
degree,
with
bro,
you getting
honors.
your 3 meals a day, right? You are a human being at the end of the day, right?
If
So
you-
get your 3 meals, but do not have the time of your life in prison. So I think that's where the other issue is. The justice system in itself needs to be sorted out, right? And in 32 years, guys, it is nothing. This man is going to come out 16 years.
That's what I
Good
mean.
behavior
He's gonna get
age.
parole.
There's no
Yeah.
system that
He's
this
going to
guy
get
can be
parole.
put into that's going to repay what he did, or that's
Yeah.
going to make us feel okay, as if it's like we in ease of what he did. There's nothing this guy can do to make up for what he did, and there's no system that's going to make justice system that's going to make us feel as if, okay, he's paid the time and feel like, wait, this is okay for it. There's nothing, basically.
Back in the days when before BC days, because we've had this conversation with a couple of friends of mine for a while, like about things, and we used to feel like maybe one of the best options would be to mutilate.
Oh, yes.
Mutilate or whatever. Yeah.
Oh yes.
So that it may never be a problem to
never
you.
happen
Exactly,
again.
because
Clearly it's
this
a problem
thing.
for you. You do not know what to do with
yeah.
it, so it's a problem.
I feel like, okay, Karen,
Yeah.
sorry. Sorry.
Basically, what do you guys think about that?
Okay, I think the whole thing of mutilating a guy or whatever, I feel like, okay, we feel like we'll be an ease because he won't be able to do it again and he'll be paying for what he actually did. But I feel like in the same way, when we're saying, okay, let this guy be cut off his thing, it will be in us in the same way perpetuating the same system that we're fighting for, of violence, of him being cut off his thing, because it's a violent act. So we can't really say, okay, let this man be cut off his thing. Whereas if we
They'll just end up
emotionally,
killing women.
yeah,
That's the way it's gonna be.
emotionally, when we think about it, it's like, okay, cut this guy's things, okay, because he won't be able to do it again, and he'll he'll actually feel the same pain that he put this other woman through. Because basically, it's us saying, okay, this thing will maybe feel as, okay, we'll maybe be able to feel like, okay, no, he did the time, and we feel like, okay, this system paid him through, but of which he won't actually feel the same pain that he put this woman through, because it's just him paying back this whole thing, and it's not really payback because he's just paying for it and he's gonna live afterwards. But the same woman that he put this woman through, she won't have the same life before, like the same life that she had before she went through this whole ordeal with.
I mean, imagine how many people have been raped using foreign objects.
Yeah.
So I think we need to also go back to the fact that
Snap, for
it's
real?
not always necessarily about
Jeez.
pleasure for yourself. It's a power dynamic.
It
The
really
fact that
is.
I have
It
power
really
over you
is.
to do what I want to do with you, right? It's never even necessarily a whole thing of I am myself as a man. I am penetrating you. No, it's power.
And
I can use any object in the world that I can find to do
And
what I want to do to you.
and us trying to solve the whole thing with violence and mutilating this guy, it will never be an option. Tina, we're just advocating for men to try. Not even try. We advocating for men to stop this thing because it's not a thing that they can't stop. They can stop this thing if they want to.
Choice.
So yeah, it's a choice thing. Okay, do they want to stop this thing or do they not? So as trying to minimize this whole thing by saying, okay, if you do this thing, it should not even be an option that we say, okay, if this happens, if you do this, this is what's going to happen. We should just say don't do this thing, period. Not if you do this, this is what's going to happen. There'll never be a justice system enough for us to say, okay, we're fine with this. If a man does this thing, we're going to do this thing. No, we will never be at peace.
Okay. I have no idea what to say.
Yeah, neither
Now,
do
my
I.
concern, with the people that have encountered such traumatic situations. What I don't know what to say about it.
I can understand.
Obviously, some people Oprah managed to live and thrive after being raped her whole life.
Yes.
But
Wait, Oprah?
how do?
Yes.
Sure,
Yeah.
dude.
For real?
Yeah.
More than once, actually.
She had a baby even.
I think she had the worst story I've
Are you
ever
serious?
heard.
But she just
Yeah.
managed to thrive through the whole thing when it happens.
I didn't know that.
That's why people hold Oprah to a high
Yeah,
standard.
yes.
She's been through a lot. But how do we help now our sisters who've been, because I have friends who told me about
Yes.
their situation and
Yes.
I don't know how to comfort them because I feel like at some point I feel guilty because I'm a male. I'm like,
Yes.
I can't hug her because she might feel some type of way.
Yes.
How do we help y'all?
I think that the one thing that men can do is to hold their own counterparts accountable
Yes.
to the whole ordeal. I don't think it's easy she might tell you what had happened, but I think for you and for her, it's not an easy thing to decide, okay, what should she do and to try to get help for her. I think the least thing you could do is to try get her to speak to someone that she trusts and to try get help. But I think for you as a male, the one thing that you can do is to hold your own male counterparts accountable for what they did and make her realize, okay, you don't agree with what happened, and what are you doing to make sure that this thing doesn't happen to other females as well.
But Randy, I think what you're asking is, if I come to you with my
Yeah.
story, how does he comfort me?
Yeah.
He won't know my.
That's why I'm
my
saying
pur-
he should try to refer to someone else, because I don't think Randy will know how to help someone.
Yes.
And of course, if Randy, I speak to Randy, of course I'll have the whole thing replaying in my mind. Okay, Randy is a guy.
a man.
How can he help me? Type of thing. So that's why I'm trying to say, okay, he should try to refer me to someone else that's a female that will try to help me, because I won't feel like, you know, obviously replay in my mind. Okay, I'm with a male now, and Randy, I'm trying to associate him, even though he didn't do
Yes.
anything wrong, but I'm trying to associate him with all men.
it.
That's why I'm
Yeah.
trying to say, okay, he should by all means try to involve me with a female, if possible. That's gonna try help me, and he should try hold other men accountable, and I should be able to see, okay, Randy is trying to make a difference, and Randy is actually on my side. He believes me, and he's trying to do this.
Yes, I think that's very important. I think the first thing you should always say to someone who comes to you and says, this is what happened, you need to make the person realize that you believe them. I think being believed
And don't
is very
downplay it.
important.
And please
Yes.
don't downplay and be like, "Ay man, no, this
Yeah.
happened."
I'll never say
Because I'm
that.
coming
I
to you with an
understand, yeah.
experience. The mere fact that I'm coming to you,
I don't
it
know
means
that.
that
I
I was
can't say
traumatized
that.
by that experience.
You need
so
to
I
take it
need for
very
you, yes,
seriously.
I need for you not to downplay it, and I need for you to believe it. And also, I think it also goes back to the whole thing of consent,
Yes.
because consent is also just about asking, are you comfortable with me doing this?
Yes.
Right. So you ask the person, are you comfortable with me hugging you?
Mm-hmm.
That's I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because in a sense you also allowing the person to know that they actually have power over what happens to them,
Because then
you're
they
giving
have,
that
yeah,
to
then they
them.
have a chance to say,
Yes.
yeah, no,
You're
yeah.
actually giving them the space to actually say, yes, I would like to hug me, or no, I would not want that from you.
Push their
But I
confidence.
think the most important thing, personally as a female, I think that you need to believe me and not to try downplay the experience that I went through. And I need to see, okay, Randy believes me, and they're trying to actually make a difference instead of protecting me and be like, I know it's fine. Of which I understand, like you've said, okay, you'll never do that. But I think that's what generally what women get from men. Generally, okay, they try to
'Cause
downplay the
television
whole thing.
says that.
Yeah, they try to downplay the whole thing, and yeah, that's a very bad thing. And you should try by all means. But okay, this woman, she feels okay. I can trust Randy. Randy's accountable, and I can talk to him about this thing. He'll not try to make it as just some other thing that happened elsewhere.
A question also in that. Like, okay, yeah. You go. No, you go.
No, I'm gonna end it now.
Huh? You
Say
gonna-
what you want to
No,
say.
I was gonna say, how far do we take this consent thing? Because just yesterday I was on the internet, and apparently there's this lady. She's a sexual expert or something like that. I don't know if you saw that thing. She got Donkey of the Day. I don't know if you saw it. Charlemagne gave her Donkey of the
What's
Day.
her name?
I don't know her name.
Okay.
But wait. So basically, what happened was, she was saying that before you change your baby's diaper, you need to ask for consent.
Oh, I heard about that.
That is just outrageous.
That's,
I think people try to sexualize everything. But
Yes.
anyway, moving away from that.
That's not even entertaining.
But
Yeah.
moving away from that, I think when it's
So
when
that's what I'm saying. Like, so
That
that's
one
like
is
a
outrageous.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's
okay,
like ridiculous.
I think when it's got to do with a woman and her own body, you should always try to make sure that to be on the safe side. Did she say yes or did she say no? Because if even though we're dating and I decide to say no, you rape me,
Yes.
the court is going to ask, did she say yes or did you say no? And the moment you can't differentiate, okay, did she say yes, did she say no, you just did it because you thought we're dating. You didn't get consent. And consent is about getting a yes or a no. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I understand the lines sometimes they get blurred because
Yes.
you're dating and you think it's okay to do this because you've been dating for a while and it's okay. But the moment you can't tell if she said yes or no, it's not consent.
I also think that as men, not even as men, as people, we need to try by all means to not find ourselves in situations. Casual sex, guys. I mean, it happens, I know. But you need to find yourself in positions where you don't find yourself in that, especially when you're drunk. It's better when everyone is sober.
Which goes back to responsibility.
You know,
Yeah,
because at
yeah.
least then you might be able to actually get consent. But when you're drunk, it's very hard to get consent.
Yeah, that's what
right?
that's what I mean. Okay, when you have casual sex
Yeah.
or you drunk sex, whatever you want to call it, it's not always easy to get a yes, or no
Yes,
from someone.
yes.
But if I lay a formal charge against you, and when you say you didn't get a yes or a no, you're gonna be charged at the end of the day. Whether
Yes.
you like it or not, you're gonna get charged.
So as
and
a
I think that's
man-
where the whole thing lies.
As a man, you need to try by all means. Guys, I know, guys, you guys want to have sex. I understand that, especially when you're drunk. But please,
you need to get
for
a
your
yes.
own
For your own
safety, so that you do not go to prison.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
do it. And as a woman, try by all means to not find yourself in a position where you are drunk, sloppy
And
drunk.
it's also our
And,
responsibility
you know,
as well. And I'm not shying away that
yes.
it's our responsibility, because
You
I know
also need
we
to be
get drunk and we
responsible.
do things without
Exactly.
us thinking. But we also
Exactly.
need to have that sense of responsibility. Okay, this is what's happening. You need to get that sense of responsibility. Okay,
Yes.
this is what's happening.
Yes.
Do I want this to happen? Am I telling this guy no? Am I telling this guy yes? Because at the same time, it's kind of unfair for us
Yeah.
to put guys in a situation where, okay, this is what's happened, and suddenly I go to the police and I
Yeah.
say, this is what happened. This guy raped me, but now of which I was drunk. That's what I'm saying. It's a responsibility type of thing.
Yes.
How responsible are you?
But
see?
you cannot be sober and say I was drunk and then put the blame on me. Because who was in the right mind at that point in time?
Yeah.
Right? Who was in the right mind and who could actually understand that, okay, no, this person is drunk, therefore they will not be able to give me consent. Also, with what Ona was saying about people who are dating, guys, I think it's very important to actually have these conversations with your sexual partners. I mean, maybe it's awkward, but I think if you're dating someone
It shouldn't
and you're
be
in a
awkward.
relationship
Yeah,
with them,
before
it
you
shouldn't be
marry.
awkward.
It shouldn't be
It
awkward.
should not be. I mean, fact is, guys, not everyone is waiting until they get married to have sex. That's a fact. So,
Thank you.
I think it's also important to have this
Why are you saying
conversation with
thank you?
those people as well.
Because people are having
important to
sex, bro.
understand.
Yes,
Not
we know
everyone
that,
is
but we're
religious,
saying thank
chap.
you.
A lot
Because
of
he
people are having
understands that
sex
it's
out
important
there.
to actually
You need to
understand
educate
that.
people,
And
bro.
Yes, I agree with that. I just didn't understand
So
what you're
why
saying.
you pushing
And I think another thing that and
Like your thank you was like thank you. Like your thank you was like yes, we not yes.
The thing that annoys me about the church is they don't want to talk about sex, thinking that people are not
They're
having
shying
sex.
away
Yo,
from
man.
it. And
no-
it's happening.
I think
I have
the
no
other
problem
to
with
add on
speaking
to
about
what
that.
Olan is saying is even with married people, the
Yes.
married people
Yes.
automatically think just because you're married, I can have sex with my woman whenever I feel like
Oh,
I
I
want
want
to
to have a
sex
conversation
as
about
a-
that.
But
Because
that's
I have
not
a
the-
friend.
But that's not the way
I have
it
a
should
friend,
be.
Yeah,
okay,
and
The
who
man,
thinks
the
that
woman, the
he
woman should
can't rape his wife. Okay.
no,
So
that's,
I-
that's
I've heard that
that's
so many times
that's
actually,
false.
and that's the most incorrect
That's
statement
false.
ever. If a woman feels like she doesn't want to have sex today, and you feel like you want to have sex, even if you're married, it's she shouldn't, because she feels like okay, she doesn't. She should have power over
well.
her body to decide. Okay, today I don't feel like
I
want
do not
to do
belong
this.
to you. That's the thing.
Yeah,
I do
and
not
I
belong
think
to
that's
you.
where the
100%.
problem.
I agree.
The lines get blurred.
I agree.
I think this should be said in the vows.
Yes, I actually
No,
also think
seriously.
so.
Seriously.
Yeah.
These things need to be said in the
I am
vows,
married
bro.
to you.
No.
I am your partner, but I do not belong to you.
Not in the vows. Like when
Nah, bro.
when my
Vows.
wife and I went when we underwent marriage counseling before we got married. These are things that you speak about there. Like your marriage counselor speaks to you about certain things and these type of things and whatnot, and you get to have a better understanding of the whole. Because I got married as a virgin. My wife got married as a virgin. You understand? So obviously, like our understanding of the whole vibe is what we've been
Yes.
either taught or seen or whatever. So it's important when you're actually about to commit your life to someone else that you actually have a marriage counselor who has an experience about the whole thing, who's gonna like lay it down to you proper.
So I think that's why we need sexual education, whether you're married or you're not. You
No,
need
I
to
agree.
Have these
Always.
conversations.
No,
Even if it's with the vows
agree.
or before marriage counseling, like Steel had said, you need to have these conversations.
I agree.
And it's not conversations that we should shy away from, because that's where the problem comes from. Because you didn't have these conversations, suddenly the lines are blurred. Suddenly I'm blaming you from something you don't even know, and you
Exactly.
thought was okay. And you find yourself in a predicament where you can't escape because Nangok, I've got the upper hand.
100%.
I must speak from experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's times that I've sexually assaulted someone, but in high school, you know. But then I learned later that what I was doing was actually wrong. But the thing is, she didn't take it that seriously. But when I got the education, I had to go back and apologize because I realized what I did was wrong.
Also, she didn't even take it seriously.
No. She kind of did, but then because she loved me, she let it
Slide.
go type of situation.
Okay.
But obviously, she still felt. I don't know how badly she.
Wait. Explain, because now I don't get the context. Explain
I
what
think-
exactly
I
you
think-
did, because I want to understand what you did.
Okay.
Because now I can't.
I'll be a little uncomfortable.
Because now I'm getting confused.
Okay. Back in the days, this girl that I was dating in high school, it was supposed to be a birthday. Okay, it was a birthday.
Yeah.
Parents were away and whatnot. So she invited me over to stay at her place because she was home alone. Consent was not discussed yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
In my mind, I thought she invited me to a place. So
Because that's what every guy.
getting some
Yeah.
action.
Initially,
Back to what
initially
you were
that's what
saying.
every guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So night came
So that's where the education part
and
comes.
Yes.
I got comfortable. And
When you say you
kissed
got
and
comfortable, you
whatnot,
mean
yeah.
like you got.
But then when I don't want to say the actual thing still. Come on, man. We're all grown.
Okay, fine.
It happened.
I was on top of her, okay? I was on top of her.
Oh.
Kissing and whatnot. And but then I could see from her reaction that she was not in it.
Yeah.
So then I had to like ask her like, yo, what's going on?
Yeah.
And she was like, she doesn't want to do it.
Oh, snap. Okay.
Backed off. But I still felt bad though because.
So you didn't do it?
Are you trying to say I raped her?
did.
No,
Because she
because
was
my thing is
uncomfortable.
this.
I thought you
No,
did it.
because
But
my
even
thing
me-
was
Yeah, even me, I thought he did it.
because that's why I needed the story. That's why I needed the story because because how you said it. At
So you
first
can
is because-
understand,
Yeah,
yeah.
but because how you
Hello,
said it. at
sexual
first is-
assault is
I-
the attempt
yeah.
itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I mean, I get you, Stella. I thought me, you.
You did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get what you guys
Okay, there
are
was
both-
one girl.
Wow.
No. Okay, there was consent, okay? But
Then
then she
why
didn't
did-
say that she was not feeling it anymore because she promised me. And then when we were when I saw her cry, and she's like, I don't want to do it anymore. I was like, why didn't you say so in the beginning? Like, why you let me?
But when she cried, did you back off?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Don't say
I do
obviously
not
because
rape-
people don't.
That's why it's
in the
important.
middle of
That's
the-
No,
you
back
know,
off.
True.
Yeah.
True.
That's why
Alright,
people
that's
say
what
that
happens,
your
though.
consent can be
100%.
withdrawn. You can withdraw your consent.
But
I
I'm
can
on-
be
but I
feeling
understand.
So,
Yeah, I
so
understand what
then
you're
let's
saying.
speak about that. Let's speak about
Look,
it.
my concern is
Hold on.
that she allowed me to carry on,
Well, hold on.
when she was no longer in it anymore.
Now my
After
question,
she gave me the consent.
my question is this. Now my question is this, right? Let's say that situation. Let's just use that situation, and I want your guys' feedback on this. When there was consent, right? Let's say, for instance, L-Zee was coming with the girl from
Yeah.
ShopRite or whatever,
Yes.
and they discussed it. And they discussed the ShopRite.
Why you gonna make me cheap?
Market
Guys.
whatever.
Isn't this podcast like
Whatever.
national? So I don't name drop.
You know what I mean? So
Actually, excellent point, yo.
Yeah, so I don't name
Hey,
drop.
man, sponsors, what you talking about?
okay, but let's say you're coming from a shop or whatever, and then you
Yes.
discuss the, no, we're gonna
Yes.
go do it, né?
Yeah.
And then you get to wherever you guys are gonna be doing it, and
She's no longer in the mood.
but then you only find out she's no longer in the mood. Like she doesn't say verbally, "I'm no longer in the mood." You
Okay.
only find out when you maybe like
Okay.
halfway through. Like,
Okay.
please explain that situation. It's
yeah.
so when the guy stops, it's not considered
Yes.
as rape, right?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I can
I-
feel
I just-
bad.
I just
A
want,
little bit.
Here's the thing. I can still feel bad about it, but I cannot necessarily say that she raped me because at the beginning, I was all for this. I gave you consent. But right in the middle of it, I was like, you know what? I don't
I
want
actually
this.
don't want
it.
Right?
Yeah.
And you saw that.
Yeah.
You backed off.
Yeah.
Okay. So me feeling bad does not necessarily mean that you raped me. It's just that I'm feeling bad because this is the situation that I put myself in. Not because I was raped or anything, but I am not comfortable with, you know.
Yeah, the whole
where
thing. And can I actually add on to the whole thing? If Urendi meets a girl, like you said, from elsewhere, and she agrees to have sex before, and then afterwards she's like, okay, I don't feel. Urendi can't read my mind. Okay, this is no longer what I wanted because I've already said this is what I wanted. So Urendi might also feel bad, like, hey, but I did this thing and this girl cried. But Urendi had
that
permission
killed me
from
for a
me.
while, okay?
You get what I'm saying? Urendi had permission from me. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. But if Urendi stops immediately, when I'm like, he can say, okay, I'm not feeling this. I don't want this. And he asks me, I'm like, okay, I don't feel this. And he stops. Urendi can't be held accountable for that because I wanted it. And in the middle, I said, okay, I don't want this. And Urendi stopped. So what is gonna be held accountable for?
But then, do you feel like the justice system is gonna hear that? Like, do you feel like if the lady were to go and file a report and say,
Drop a file.
I was raped, do you feel
I think they
like
would.
they would hear that?
I think they really would
Yes.
because in the first
They
instance
would.
she said, okay, she wanted this. So the justice system, I don't see why they would be like, okay, no, you raped this girl because she agreed. Okay, this is what she wanted in the first.
If she gives all the facts.
Yes.
So I
She
don't
gives
see
all the
why
facts.
he like Urendi wouldn't like be let go off the hook because this is what I wanted in the first place. So I don't see why he should be held accountable for something that I decided afterwards. Okay, this is not what I want anymore.
And I think it's also very important to always understand that consent is very important because even when you go through the legal route of the whole thing, the rape could be defined as forceful penetration without consent, right? So consent is very important. She
Okay.
gave you consent. In the middle of it, she withdrew her consent and you stopped. So how can I fault you when you did what was right legally?
Now, my biggest concern now with
Yeah.
this whole situation that I was in, luckily, thank God, that I witnessed her, okay, and I withdraw. Now, imagine some idiot who's busy enjoying himself, does not pay any attention, and carries on.
Yes. I think that's where it goes back to what Liso said about the whole consent thing. Because if you carried on and you can say, okay, she doesn't want this, and okay, let's say she even decided to tell you, okay, she doesn't want this, and you decided to carry on, it's no more consent because you carried on, even though you could see, and even though she told you she doesn't want this whole thing. So it goes back to consent. Okay, is this what she said she wanted to do? Is this what she wanted to do?
But what if you
I
can't
hear
see?
the consent
What if you
part.
can't see?
What I'm
It
saying
goes back
is
to what you
the
said at the
not
beginning.
seeing that
Yes.
she's no longer part of
Yes.
this whole situation.
Yes.
If you guys remember what Ona was saying at the beginning, that for a lot of men, sex has become a thing of I am taking from the woman, right? If, when as a man, sex was not a matter of I am taking, then you would put yourself in a position where you would actually care for how the woman feels, right? Also, consent is not a one-time thing, guys. Consent is not I ask you at the beginning and then that's it. Consent is continuous. Because like you said, I might change my mind right in the middle of it. So you actually have to make sure throughout the whole thing, are you okay? Right? So you also need to put yourself in a position of understanding that, okay, sex is not just about me. Sex is about us. Because we're in this situation together. And at the same time, I need to always understand that this person is okay with this. So you need to ask for consent continuously. I know it's
Tedious.
It's tedious, but it's important so that everyone can be on the safe side. You also need to take care of yourself and always be aware of the fact
And
that
protect
you know,
yourself
you need to
because
protect
the legal
yourself.
system, yeah.
Which is why I always protect myself
But I used to-
because of my history.
But I always joke with my wife and I say, babe, you took my virginity from me. Just know that, just know that you took my virginity. Like I've never seen it as like a guy taking something
Yes.
from. You know what I mean? I've always seen it as someone taking something from me, though.
I really think we need to back
that's why
away from
That's why I
that.
protected it so much. You
You
know,
know,
that's why I
yeah.
like protected. I'm joking.
We
but
honestly
anyway,
need to back away from that whole
Yeah.
thing of taking. You know what I mean?
100% I
'Cause
agree.
I had her. What do you mean you had her? This
Whereas
was
she could
consensual.
have as
We
had
both
you.
agreed
I-
to this.
I agree, 100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
So it's important. Understand that sex is not just about you. Understand that consent is a continuous thing. Yeah.
We need a sex expert, man. Like professional. No, like seriously, like to educate people.
What
Like and tell them,
what
yo,
does the 6 expert do?
I hope they teach people like the importance of sex and
How
it's
far
not
is too far?
one-sided.
And then they tell you
and
how
the
far
whole
is too
consent
far.
situation.
Oh,
Like-
okay.
Like they even go beyond now. When you're in your lovemaking, some people are comfortable with such things, some people are not.
Oh,
Even
like
in
the
marriage.
whole Christian Grace situation.
Even in marriage,
oh.
just because you've got experience and you're the kinky type does not mean your wife will be that type, you know?
Yeah.
So it depends on, are you
Yeah.
comfortable with this?
Or maybe the wife is the kinky one.
You know? Are you comfortable with this? Is this okay?
MJ.
Actually, she's right, okay?
She is right.
Let's
Yeah.
not
She
give
is
all
right.
the
She-
power
no,
to
she-
men.
She is right. She is right. I've
Take
seen
your power, girl.
I've seen way too many things on Dr.
Out
Phil.
here.
On Dr. Phil.
Just emphasize this on Dr. Phil.
Yeah.
You've seen it on Dr. Phil.
On Dr. Phil, bruh.
I'm sure it is Dr. Phil.
But yeah, man,
Where
guys.
else would it be?
Hey, man.
Oh,
Try
unless,
knowing that then
unless if it's
Jerry
Dr. Oz.
Spring.
Nah, not
Dr. Oz was.
not Jerry Springer.
Nah, he's very. Hey, nah, 18, bro. 18. Oz is.
About the intestines.
So yeah, I think that's
Awesome
about
stuff.
it.
think we
Yeah,
can wrap this
I,
up.
I think that's about it. I think
we
this
should have
was
wrapped it up
A while ago.
this was dope because I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I
There
learned a
needs
lot
to be a part 2.
because I did
without
like all those
Connor.
questions I was asking. I was really asking for real.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, L-Zee, wrap it up, man.
Well,
This has been great.
before I close, for anyone that is still listening, I'd like to apologize if I came off insensitive in any kind of way. I am not insensitive to their cause or what women go through, but I was just asking genuine questions as a male. Okay, I'd like to voice that out. Because of the conversation we had, I'm not sure if you guys want to give off your handles. Because this might be an
Yeah.
invite to some people.
What is my handle, actually? I
Well,
don't even know
okay.
what my handle is.
Well, I'd first like to thank you for the opportunity because it's not every day that we get the opportunity to actually voice out our opinions and what we think about the whole topic. But anyway, my handle on Facebook and Twitter and even on Instagram, actually, it's on Machaya, no underscore.
Nothing.
Me? No. I'm not on social media. I'm not even active.
Really?
I don't want
You used to
people.
be on
Come on.
Twitter. You used to be
Come
on
on.
Twitter though.
Used to being the operative term.
Oh,
Come
no
on.
wonder I don't see
Come
you on
on.
Twitter no
I'ma
more.
join
How do you know I'm
soon.
on Twitter but you don't even follow me, Stan?
Yeah.
I used to follow you.
You used to follow me.
Yeah.
And then he
No,
unfollowed you.
no, I never unfollowed you.
You still follow me.
Yeah, bro. Unless
you
if
deactivate
you
it,
not,
did
did
you
you
just
deactivate
stop?
your
I
account?
just like I'm not active. I'm
Oh,
there,
that's
but I'm
why
not
I get
active.
The vibe would
That's
still
fine.
is he invites everyone. If you don't follow back, he
I
unfollows
unfollow.
you.
You unfollow?
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
the
yeah,
vibe.
He
Like-
actually did
like-
follow
like-
you.
She's not
I followed
active,
you.
so-
Like I
but
follow,
retweet.
like I
No,
follow,
but I retweet.
Unjalo
So
swine.
you-
like I follow. If you don't follow back,
You unfollow.
I
I
understand.
give you 48 hours.
Because
Yeah.
now
Within 48
Hello,
hours, you
okay.
don't
he
follow
followed
back.
me before I can even follow
Yeah.
him back. And then I followed him afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay, Scarlett, please give me your handle.
Whoa,
'cause-
hey, it's in.
Okay, you guys can do this
Wait,
afterwards.
didn't you say you don't have?
She's
I
not
mind your own.
active.
Mind your own.
Okay.
This is my time now.
Mind your own.
Oh, okay.
This is my time.
Yes.
Yes, guys. I'd also like to be like, just say thank you for the platform because I think it's very important to have these kind of conversations, just to educate people. And like Randy said, trolls zininzi. So I think it's very important to actually have a platform where there won't be any trolls and you actually can
Yeah.
have a say and just say what you mean without having people being demeaning and whatever. My handle on Twitter and Instagram, Liso_Dube, LIISO_DUBE on Twitter and Instagram.
L-I-I.
Y'all
Yes.
better stay out of the DMs.
Yeah, you better stay out of my DMs.
Unless
Unless
if
they
they
send
DM you.
though. Yeah, if I DM you,
Then-
then you know
Or
what's
if-
up.
Unless they sending
Or
money.
if you send me money,
Yes.
then yeah.
That's what
Thank
it
you,
is.
Randy.
Hashtag women can DM too.
100%. Why not?
Holler at me for lessons, guys, because I've been copying
Let-
these brothers.
Let's go underscore.
For real?
No.
Move on, Steel. Move on. Move on, please, brother.
Let's go, Mr. Underscore.
At no, not at Stelo, man. What am I talking about? At Steel Dlamini, that's STEEL_DHLAMINI Okay, that's Twitter, Facebook, none of your business. Instagram, none of your business.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
Wow.
And if you don't, or if you follow me, I'll follow you back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
L-Zee, Braylon's finest, all around on all platforms. And we are the Blueprint Sessions on all platforms.
Yeah.
And if you guys have anything you want to ask us, anything further, I would say DM us. But after this conversation, not sure, man. So you can email us at blueprintsessions@gmail.com.
100%.
Guys, well, ladies,
Thank you,
let me
guys.
not call
been
y'all.
Thank
guys.
you, ladies.
Guys is very
It's been
unisex
good.
actually, so it's cool.
Thank
It's
you.
been
Thank
good.
you.
Yes, it
thank
is.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Clarifying
Plenty.
that.
It's been an
So it's
awesome,
deep, right?
insightful
Yeah.
Yeah.
episode.
100%. I agree.
Hopefully, we'll have a part 2 soon.
This
Okay.
was awesome.
Hopefully. Yo.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hopefully, Ona will let us speak.
Girl, please leave.
Okay.
Alone.
I'm gonna
Do the
cut that part
honors.
out.